The story of Rise from the Rubble begins with a man and a woman who are surrounded by a horde of monsters. With the woman unconscious, the man wondered if he would die in a place like this with his body covered in wounds. However, his survival instincts were so strong that he decided to fight to the death, refusing to die in such a place. Later in a prison in City Z, a man named Zuo Fan was seen visiting his father who was imprisoned. Zuo Fan told his father that he was currently 18 years old, and he wanted to claim his father's promise that he would tell all the truth about the monster wave disaster that occurred 8 years ago when Zuo Fan was old enough. He also said that he would clear all charges and clear his father's name. It is said that 8 years ago in S City, there was a monster wave outbreak that became the biggest disaster in Chinese history, and his father named Zuo Hui became the only survivor of that big disaster. An investigation was carried out, and afterward his father was deemed a traitor who neglected his duty because he did not appear during the outbreak. But considering his many years of meritorious deeds for the country, he has been sentenced to a 10-year stay of execution. This had impacted Zuo Fan's life, where he for the past 8 years had lived as the son of a traitor, and was often the object of ridicule by others. Zuo Fan had only survived so far because he had faith in his father, and he would continue to try to clear his father's name. But his father actually told him to leave City Z and change his name to start a new life, because it would not be easy to live life as the son of a traitor. Zuo Fan still could not accept that his father was a traitor because he trusted his father so much. When he came out of the prison, the guards said that his visit fee would be tripled just because he was the son of a traitor. Zuo Fan was wondering in his heart, how could someone who had endangered himself and made countless contributions to the country actually be considered a traitor? Thus, Zuo Fan was determined to find out the truth. Zuo Fan has been working as a starfall mercenary for a few years in order to survive, and you could say that he only has enough money for his daily needs. This was because Zuo Fan was just a low-status starfall warrior reserve. The only thing of value to him is a necklace his mother gave him made of meteor fragments from the night of the starfall. Zuo Fan decided to go to the mercenary guild to earn more money for his daily needs, as well as expenses for visiting his father in prison. When Zuo Fan arrived at the mercenary guild hall, many people there kept mocking him for his low status, as he was considered a curse for being the son of a traitor. Zuo Fan didn't care about it at all, as he was used to hearing about it, and then went to his Uncle Gao's office and asked for an E-rank mission, which Zuo Fan found extremely dangerous, given the fact that he was still a reserve soldier with low status. Although at first, the uncle refused to give Zuo Fan an E-rank mission, in the end, he gave an E-rank scout mission to Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan agreed to join the mission, and when he got there, he met a party led by a beautiful woman named Mu Yinyue. From the weapon she was holding, which had a monster core in it, Zuo Fan could tell that the woman was a mid-level warrior who should be extremely strong. The monster core itself was a crystal contained within a monster, while the starfall equipment was a piece of equipment made using a monster core, and it was the weapon Mu Yinyue used. When Zuo Fan introduced himself, just then came the arrogant man named Mu Jie, mocked Zuo Fan as mere monster bait. A person with white hair surnamed Mu intervened in their argument. After that, Zuo Fan was given a contract letter as a way to test his eligibility, and they accepted Zuo Fan after seeing his ability in person, who managed to capture the contract paper that had been made extremely hard by injecting their power. After Zuo Fan had seen the contents of the contract, he very carefully followed the mission, considering that he was the weakest in the party. At this time, Zuo Fan was already in X City's monster lair, and he saw a lot of E-rank fish lizard monsters. When Zuo Fan aimed at the fish lizard with an arrow, the arrow aimed at the fish lizard bounced off, and thanks to that, the fish lizards got angry and started chasing it. That was Zuo Fan's main job, to serve as bait to lure the monsters towards him. Zuo Fan ran with all his might to get to where his party was gathering. By the time Zuo Fan arrived, the fish lizards also arrived. And at the same time, the rest of the party started to block their advance, and calmly and gracefully slashed at every single fish lizard that was in sight. When they had finished killing all the monsters, at that time there was one half-body fish lizard that was still able to move forward to attack them. The cunning Mu Jie pushed Zuo Fan's body to make him his body shield. Zuo Fan quickly avoided the attack and managed to shoot arrows into the lizard's eyes. And in the end, Yin Yue managed to kill the lizard. At the same time, Zuo Fan's necklace suddenly issued a strange notification, stating that their first E-rank hunt was successful. That night, while Zuo Fan was on guard, Yin Yue came up to him, and at that moment the ground they were standing on shook and they fell onto the ground together. Above them, it was seen that someone who was the mastermind behind this was peering down at them. They fell onto the subway tracks and Zuo Fan knew that it was more than 20 meters deep, and they searched the place looking for a way out. Yin Yue, who had a keen hearing, heard a movement from the other direction, which turned out to be a group of fish lizards. Yin Yue told Zuo Fan to back off. She thought that he would definitely be a burden. Yin Yue used her technique to annihilate all the fish lizards with agility and dazzling technique. Just like before, there was one lizard with only half a body that was still able to move towards Zuo Fan, but luckily this time he managed to stab him dead, and the notification once again popped up, telling him he had killed another E-rank monster. After killing all the fish lizards, they continued their journey to find a new path, but at that time they found a dead end. Zuo Fan knew that it was closed from the outside, but Yin Yue, who was suspicious of Zuo Fan, directly pointed her sword at Zuo's neck. Zuo Fan himself was confused about what Yin Yue meant, and because of that, Yin Yue finally knew that the culprit was not Zuo Fan, thinking that all this had been set up by someone who wanted to take him down. Zuo Fan also knew that there must be strife in the Yin Yue family, which is a starfall family whose motto is that the strong survive, while the weak die. As is known, the starfall family will hold a test to hunt monsters and face enemies from their own family. Meanwhile, Zuo Fan looked for another, if not conspicuous, exit, and they ran on until they found an exit, only to see arrows heading their way. Yin Yue quickly protected Zuo Fan, who was still exhausted, but Zuo Fan immediately knew that it was a poison arrow, so he immediately pulled out the arrow stuck in Yin Yue's body. Zuo Fan looked over and saw that Uncle Han Hu and the rest of the party had betrayed Yin Yue. The trait of betrayal had already coagulated in Han Hu's body just for the sake of getting rich. Without waiting for long, he pressed a button that made the place where Yin Yue and Zuo Fan were standing explode. They apparently wanted to make Zuo Fan the scapegoat, who caused the Mu family's daughter to be killed while hunting the monster den. Zuo Fan and Yin Yue actually managed to return to their original place when they were trapped underground, when a group of fish lizards came because they smelled Yin Yue's blood. She told Zuo Fan about her uncle's plan to put all the blame for Yin Yue's death on Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan knew that he had to get out of there alive. While Yin Yue could still fight, she protected Zuo Fan, who was looking for another way out. There is a small light that should be a way out, but it won't be easy because the fish lizards have surrounded them. Yin Yue told Zuo Fan to leave first while she would drive away the monster horde. Zuo Fan complied, and he cleared his way out while setting a trap. There Zuo Fan immediately called Yin Yue, and immediately after that, she went through the trap that Zuo Fan had previously set up. The trap managed to close the exit and block the fish lizard from chasing them. But when they got out, they couldn't calm down because in front of them, there was already another group of fish lizards waiting for them. Yin Yue, who was poisoned, was weak and fell down, while Zuo Fan, with the last of his strength, used the fallen Yin Yue's sword. With that sword, Zuo Fan managed to slash a fish lizard's head, but the head still moved and stabbed Zuo Fan's chest with its tongue. Zuo Fan collapsed, feeling that his life was about to end, and at that time his necklace gave a notification that Zuo Fan had defeated 3 monsters, and his energy had been accumulated. The War God system was activated, and the system distributed the points that Zuo Fan had earned. Zuo Fan, who woke up, was shocked. Why was he still alive and his wound was closed? Zuo Fan saw that the fish lizard was still in place and was ready to lunge at them, and immediately Zuo Fan directly attacked the fish lizard. Zuo Fan was able to quickly avoid any of the fish lizard attack that was coming towards him. He was also surprisingly able to feel the power in Yin Yue's sword. He smiled. He advanced to dodge every fish lizard's attack. He also tied his sword with a rope, throwing it so that it hit 2 fish lizards' tongues. He made a proper stance and slashed at the 2 fish lizards at once. Zuo Fan looked at the notice again, which this time told him to focus on the battle first, because there was a monster in front of him. Zuo Fan prepared to charge where each slash managed to sever the fish lizard's arm. At first, the large number of monsters gave him trouble, but now his strength had increased, and his attacks managed to kill every fish lizard that attacked him. In his mind, he thought that from today onwards, he would no longer hide behind his party and would walk his own path. The notification message appeared again, showing how many points could be distributed, but before that, Zuo Fan took Yin Yue to a safer place. Zuo Fan was planning to deal with the poisonous blood in Yin Yue's body that lured many monsters, and he was already prepared to do it. Zuo Fan had a hard time suppressing his lust because of Yin Yue's seductive body, but in the end, he managed to clear the poisonous blood from Yin Yue's body. Not only that, but he had also removed the smell from the blood, so as not to provoke the appearance of other monsters. Zuo Fan then looked at what the system could do. He found out what was going on, and had already distributed his points into the stats he needed. Now Zuo Fan has increased his strength. He tried his strength by trapping a fish lizard, and with just one attack, he managed to kill the fish lizard and get 3 additional points. He knows the advantage of the points he got, and the effect of increasing his stats, and so Zuo Fan had already started hunting to increase his strength. Zuo Fan gains a war god system that can make him stronger, which he takes advantage of by continuing to hunt fish lizards that he can easily defeat. He also took the scales and fangs which he used to sell later. In no time, Zuo Fan was already at the mid-tier warrior level, and the points he earned from killing fish lizards were reduced to 1 point, making him decide to go deeper to hunt even more powerful monsters. Zuo Fan was searching underground, and at that time, there was a crocodile monster with 2 heads eating a fish lizard. Zuo Fan returned to where Yin Yue was, and he again cleaned up the blood that was on Yin Yue's body. But just then Yin Yue woke up and directly pointed her sword at Zuo Fan's neck. Luckily, Zuo Fan quickly cleared up the misunderstanding, and Yin Yue understood the situation. Now they see a 2-headed crocodile. They have to beat it to get out of this place. Yin Yue said that if you want to defeat him, you must be able to draw out the full power of the starfall sword, or activate the starfall equipment and cut off both heads directly. Yin Yue told Zuo Fan to learn how to use the starfall sword, which explained that the user of the starfall sword must resonate with the monster core in the weapon, thereby increasing the power of the weapon. Zuo Fan only had 3 days to master it, in which case he had to fight with the fish lizard to be able to resonate the monster core. But the monster core was so fragile that extreme resonance could instantly make the monster core shatter. Zuo Fan had only been doing this for half a day when the Wargon system popped up saying that his sword couldn't activate, and to activate it required 10 stats points. Without hesitation, Zuo Fan immediately activated Starfall Sword Resonance, and Yin Yue seemed to be very surprised by Zuo Fan's talent, but also ridiculed Zuo Fan's level of stupidity, who did not know the effect of its use. Zuo Fan was already in front of the 2-headed crocodile, and he charged forward to avoid every attack from it. When Zuo Fan was within attack range, he was hit by the attack from the crocodile's tail and was sent flying far enough, and the attack caused Zuo Fan to lose a lot of blood. He quickly avoided being hit by the 2-headed crocodile. Zuo Fan was attacked several times, and he was forced to retreat to see the crocodile's weakness. He had to defeat it to clear his father's name. In Zuo Fan's memory, he saw his mother's body, which was not found. So there is a possibility that Zuo Fan's mother is still alive. Returning to the battle, Zuo Fan's hiding whereabouts had already been discovered by the monster, but fortunately, he managed to dodge its attack. His life will had managed to reach the system, and gave him a perception skill that could sense the surroundings with a radius of 10 meters. Thanks to that, Zuo Fan could see and feel the presence of the crocodile behind him. Zuo Fan quickly activated the Starfall Sword as this was his chance to step forward and slash both crocodile heads at once. Thanks to killing that crocodile, he obtained an E-tier monster core. Zuo Fan had already defeated the 2-headed crocodile, and he had emerged from the underground carrying Yin Yue on his back. Coming out of the underground, he could feel how soft Yin Yue's chest was that several times broke his concentration. But at the same time, Zuo Fan could feel the attack from his side, and he could easily dodge the numerous arrow attacks. Apparently, the attack came from Muja, who was ready to kill them. Muja arrogantly looked down on Zuo Fan and Yin Yue, who were currently injured. He ordered his men to advance to kill them, while Zuo Fan smiled happily, as he was able to quickly kill the 2 of them. Zuo Fan took Yin Yue down from his arms and then fought against Muja. Muja's men were shocked when they saw their comrades die, while Muja ordered his men to kill Zuo Fan and Yin Yue immediately. Zuo Fan with the perception skill was able to fend off all the arrows aimed at him. Zuo Fan has quickly advanced to attack Muja's two men and the two people above, and now only Muja is alone, who is starting to feel the fear of death. His scared face accompanied by his legs and body quickly moving to run away from Zuo Fan, but Zuo Fan sneered at Muja's fast running, and he rushed forward to catch up to sever the right hand of Muja, who was still trying to beg for forgiveness from Zuo Fan. But when he saw his chance, he attacked Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan mercilessly slashed Muja to the head and killed him instantly. Zuo Fan again carried Yin Yue to get out of the monster's nest, and there they saw the Mu family's savior who had arrived. Yin Yue thanked Zuo Fan and gave him a personal contact. The maid saw Yin Yue's starfall sword brought by Zuo Fan, and after them parting ways, Mu An advises her not to get close to the traitor's son, but Yin Yue seems to have already fallen in love with Zuo Fan. Meanwhile, Mu Hanhu, who had seen Muja killed, angrily promised to kill Zuo Fan and Yin Yue. Meanwhile, in Jiangbei prison, there are two people from the government who will pick up Zuo Hui because he will be transferred to another prison. Zuo Fan was also going to visit his father again, but at that time he saw a floating prison for the most heinous prisoners in China appeared in front of him. Thinking that his father was planning to transfer to the flying prison, the prison officials were in a frenzy because they were chasing after the youth who barged in there, and it was Zuo Fan trying to stop his father's transfer. The green-haired guards there taunted Zuo Fan, who was the son of a traitor, while Zuo Fan charged forward and crushed all the guards who stopped him. He felt one strike and managed to stop the handblade attack from the woman with glasses. The woman was shocked and started to attack Zuo Fan once again, but Zuo Fan endured each of her attacks, which were already at a higher level. Even his father was surprised to see his son had grown stronger. Zuo Fan opened his resonant blade to collide with the woman's attack, and the result was a huge energy explosion that caused the monster core that was in Zuo Fan's sword to instantly shatter. The green-haired male guard who saw that praised Zuo Fan and was about to give him time to talk to his father. Zuo Fan praised his son. He told him that he had never betrayed, and sent his son to the military base in Jining City, where there was evidence behind the fall of S City. Zuo Fan was also told where it was and the password as well, and after saying that Zuo Fan saw that his father had been taken away into the floating prison. After that incident, Zuo Fan woke up because his alarm went off and accidentally destroyed his alarm clock. He forgot that his strength was already at the intermediate level. Zuo Fan got a call from his uncle, who told him to immediately go to his office, because he had prepared everything. Zuo Fan had arrived at his uncle's office where he was there. His uncle had already prepared all the documents and requirements for Zuo Fan to go to Jining City, along with the novice warrior card. Zuo Fan thanked Uncle Gao for helping him so far, and he would come back to him later when all his business was done. Zuo Fan had already departed, and he would head to Jining City in 5 days. Before that, he was going to the trading center. He got a call from his friend, the only friend who cared about Zuo Fan. After a short conversation, Zuo Fan went to the trading center. There, with the perception skill, he could feel the power level of the people. If he couldn't see then, that person's level was even higher than Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan had entered the trading center and sold all his game there. When he was done with all his business, he also saw Lu Jia, Li Wei's older sister. Now he was already working in the trade center as an entry-level warrior. Zuo Fan went about his other business and would greet him later at dinner with Li Wei. Zuo Fan had already met with other officials to repair his starfall sword with the mutated E-grade monster core he had obtained. But the clerk said that they couldn't because there wasn't a blacksmith here who was capable of repairing at that level. After Zuo Fan left, the two officials still kept talking about Zuo Fan being able to have a mutation E-level monster core. They did not believe that someone like Zuo Fan could possess such a precious item. At that time, there was one person who made an employee who previously ran to Zuo Fan because an advanced blacksmith had come here. Zuo Fan was already in the room to meet the blacksmith, and his name was Zhu Naian. Zuo Fan hesitated a little until he was sure after seeing that Zhu Naian's insignia was truly an advanced smith. Zuo Fan took out his monster core. After seeing the core, Naian praised the energy contained in it, and he already knew how the monster died. But Naian also doubted that Zuo Fan was not the owner of this monster core. Zuo Fan had said that he was the one who defeated that monster, and that the monster's core belonged to him. But Naian still couldn't believe all of Zuo Fan's words. Because of Zuo Fan's determination, he took him to the forge and began to forge swords for Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan was already sure of Nayan's refinement level after seeing how quickly Nayan made a single sword, and when the simple sword was made, the last thing he did was to attach a monster core to the blade. When all the energy in the monster's core is installed, it will go berserk. To hold it, you need a high-level warrior, and even then the energy will continue to fight, and the most effective is the person who kills the monster. Nayan had already attached the beast's core to the sword, and when it merged, the energy released the shape of a two-headed crocodile. Nayan ordered Zuo Fan to suppress the energy, and Zuo Fan expended his energy to suppress the two-headed crocodile's energy very quickly. Seeing this, Nayan became more and more convinced that Zuo Fan was indeed the one who killed the monster. Nayan apologized and gave him a VIP card from an advanced smith, which was actually very rare, and with that, he could get a discount at every trading center. Nayan immediately left, because he still had a lot of business to do, and after getting the new sword, Zuo Fan used the VIP card to test his starfall sword. Soon, the examiner named He Tan came, an advanced-level warrior, along with Nayan beside him. Zuo Fan already knew who He Tan was, and was about the same level as the woman he met in the flying prison. Both of them were ready to test their weapons. Zuo Fan gained an additional 40 stats in strength and agility, thanks to the effects of his new starfall sword. He Tan easily parried each of his attacks, and Zuo Fan charged forward again, but He Tan, who had experience attacking him swiftly, Zuo Fan managed to dodge and defend against He Tan's attacks. He Tan was here to test the might of the Starfall E-rank mutant monster core sword, so he immediately activated his huge axe. Likewise with Zuo Fan, his sword was activated, and a blue aura appeared on his sword. The two of them had collided. Zuo Fan's sword had a new attribute of penetration, a sudden attack that managed to graze He Tan. The desperate He Tan subconsciously used an E-tier technique to escape. He was shocked by the might of Zuo Fan's sword. He Tan had already come out of the Starfall sword testing grounds. He had not expected Zuo Fan's strength to be so great at such a young age. He met Zuo Fan again and apologized for the incident earlier. He had already used an E-level skill. Zuo Fan understood this and forgave him. He Tan left. After giving advice to Zuo Fan to practice his Starfall sword technique, Zuo Fan named his new sword Bone Piercer. At this time, Zuo Fan seemed to be walking towards the meeting place with Li Wei. But at that time, he heard a commotion, and from the voice he heard, he recognized the voice. There, he saw Li Wei and Lu Jia arguing with the three soldiers who accused Lu Jia of stealing the core. Monsters, when really, they just wanted to trick him. One person was angry when he saw Lu Wei protecting Lu Jia. He stepped forward and tried to attack him. But when his hand was grabbed by Zuo Fan, who was already there, he immediately punched him. The man walked away, angry because he saw his friend being bullied. The two swindlers came forward to attack as well, but Zuo Fan easily punched them both in the stomach. The swindler kept talking to ridicule the trading center's reputation. Just then came He Tan and several other employees. To stop them, thanks to the information he brought, He Tan immediately knew who the three of them turned out to have a bad history, and punished them before going to the police. And that way the problem was over. At this time, the three of them were eating and talking, and after they finished eating together, Zuo Fan went to Jining City on Ghost Rain Mountain. Zuo Fan looked at the heavily guarded military base. There was no chance for him to enter illegally with his current ability, not to mention that Jining City had so many powerful warriors. Even rumors said that the city leader had a warlord rank. Zuo Fan then went to the bar that he frequented. There was a waiter named Rujia, who was familiar with Zuo Fan, because Zuo Fan had been here for 10 days and often visited the bar. At that time, Zuo Fan saw a broadcast showing a notice that if he could enter the operation on Mount Ghost Rain, the top 10 people could get an offer to enter the military, and freely enter and leave the military base. Seeing that, Zuo Fan knew that this was his chance to enter the military base. There are 3 important forces in Jining City: the military, the Mercenary Association, and the Starfall family. After the night of the falling star, a mutation occurred in the world and many monsters appeared. These 3 forces scaled the cleaning of monsters in Jining City to avoid the monster wave and formed this joint operation. For 10 people, the most hunting monsters can get rewards and can go in and out of the military base. Jining City It is a good opportunity for Zuo Fan. Now that he is at the registration site and has received a life and death contract, there is also Ru Jie, who is with Pu Pan, a son of mercenary president Pu Hao, and Ru Jie asks him to protect Zuo Fan. Meanwhile, Zuo Fan appeared to be already on the train. The transportation system after outbreak has been destroyed, and it's only been a few years since the railroad started to operate. On the way, Zuo Fan even saw a quite dangerous Eagle Fox Monster D level. The carriage went straight to Ghost Rain Base. Pu Pan and Li Hongwu from the Li family. Meanwhile, in a room, 3 big names were gathered. Pu Hao, who was the president of his father Pu Pan's mercenary army. Li Zhong, the head of the Li family. And Wei Chenshan, who was the head instructor of the base. Meanwhile, Zuo Fan had already headed out to the outer area to get his space, and the points for the operation this time were 1 point for an F-rank monster, 10 points for an E-rank monster, 100 points for a D-rank monster. He arrived at a dead city that looked very deserted. The skill sensed something underground, and at that moment a large number of rainrock spiders had appeared and surrounded him. Rainrock spiders are F-level monsters with venomous fangs and webs. They make nests that can accommodate hundreds to thousands of spiders. Zuo Fan was very happy to know that this was the cobweb of the rainrock. He could get a lot of points here. With himself at the intermediate warrior level, Zuo Fan easily crushed a lot of spiders at once. These spiders, even if they made a nest, would defend their territory, and this city would only have spiders. Zuo Fan saw the point he got was not much of killing them. He would use them to practice his newly purchased maneuver technique, Willow Steps, the only skill he had found in the Zhongbei Trade Center before. Currently, the mastery is at the beginner level, but in its use there are 4 stages in the use of skills. The first is beginner, the second is competent, the third is advanced, and the last is perfect. Meanwhile, in the forest, you see Pu Pan, who is injured and being chased by lots of soldiers. Pu Pan knows this is the act of someone who wants to kill him. He ran until he arrived at the city of the dead, where there were lots of dead spider corpses there. With his current condition, he was scared against lots of spiders. Luckily, there was Zuo Fan who killed the spiders. Pu Pan already knew that the Zuo Fan was the person Ru Jie asked to protect him, but he never expected that the person he was about to protect would be this powerful. They then entered the building to take shelter. Pu Pan himself received disdain from Zuo Fan, who didn't think that a child would join this operation, but it couldn't be denied, because Zuo Fan had just arrived in Jining City and didn't know who Pu Pan was. With many warriors threatening his life, Pu Pan offered Zuo Fan to cooperate, with Pu Pan to teach Zuo Fan another maneuver technique that was stronger and more useful than that Willow Step. Zuo Fan was interested. Although at first Zuo Fan didn't believe what this little fat kid said, Pu Pan immediately gave him the formula of the skill. Zuo Fan's task was quite easy. He only needed to protect Pu Pan for the next 3 days, and Zuo Fan agreed to the offer. An ironic circumstance considering that Pu Pan was supposed to protect Zuo Fan, not the other way around. After they met and made a deal, a surprising attack came. There were several people with full armor ready to kill. Pu Pan, who didn't want his pride to be hurt, took out his armor and said he already knew that they were sent by the Li family to kill him. Hearing a familiar name, Zuo Fan remembers that there was a bald old man who originally supported all of his father's affairs. He was even rescued by his father. Just hearing the surname Li, Zuo Fan was furious, and he activated his starfall sword. The 2 of them charged towards Pu Pan with their strength. Pu Pan managed to hold back one person who flew to kill Zuo Fan, who was then shocked to see Zuo Fan's angry look, and without knowing the body of one of the enemies had already been slashed by Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan continued to advance. Blocking the other 2, Zuo Fan was confident that he could defeat the 3, but it might take a long time. He also had to give out his full strength. Zuo Fan activated his perception skill and rushed forward, but he was blocked by their 2 whips and was pushed back, their weapons very much. At that time they shot at Zuo Fan with arrows. Zuo Fan was quite troubled because he had to protect Pu Pan. Zuo Fan asked Pu Pan if he could move. Pu Pan said yes, and he started to move. Because of that, their concentration was split, and this was Zuo Fan's chance to go forward and kill one person. 2, the others got angry and attacked him. Zuo Fan, who couldn't avoid being hit by an arrow on his shoulder. Zuo Fan was in a desperate state. but 1 point from killing the previous person allowed him to activate the Willow Blossom Flash skill. Zuo Fan instantly learned the skill. His movement quickened, he dodged every attack from them and cut off one of his enemy's arm, and at that time another person tried to stop Zuo Fan. But that didn't work. Zuo Fan had already killed his friend, and Zuo Fan was behind him, directly killing that person. 3 soldiers of the same level as him were easily slaughtered, making Pu Pan, who saw that, very surprised. How could Zuo Fan beat those 3 people? Pu Pan told him that this possibility was Li Hongwu's aiming for the first rank to be operated on in a dirty manner. Then it was shown Li Hongwu, who already knew that the 3 people he sent had lost contact, but he was quite happy because he already knew that Pu Pan was seriously injured, and he was sure that Pu Pan would not be able to enter the top 10. Li Hongwu plans to become number 1 in this operation and break the record. Meanwhile, after that incident, Zuo Fan carried Pu Pan on his back to another hunting ground. They were confronted by a teary vine python, and with a new technique Zuo Fan easily defeated the snakes. Pu Pan was very happy with Zuo Fan, and was sure that he would be in first place. Zuo Fan asked why they wanted to be in first place, and Pu Pan said that the prize was very good. The reward is an artifact discovered 2 years ago. Alien artifacts. Pu Pan tells that one night a meteoroid fell to Earth, the animals that were affected first began to mutate, and monsters appeared in large numbers. Then humans underwent mutations, and starfall warriors were born like they are today, and plant or vegetation mutations were slower by 2 last year. 10 years after the meteoroid fall found something in the mutated plant. It's called alien artifact, which can greatly increase strength, but it's very rare to obtain, and the first place to operate on this will get D rank alien artifact. Hearing that, Zuo Fan was even more excited, and Pu Pan was currently leading them to a place where many monsters were found. Zuo Fan was also shocked by this place. A thick smell of blood. He saw a group of wolves named Broken Blade Iron Fur Wolf. This place was discovered by the Mercenary Association, and Zuo Fan was very happy because with this he could accumulate points in operations as well as points in the War God system. Unwilling to be a burden, Pu Pan advanced to become a tank for Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan swiftly cut down all the wolves that were there. Although easily defeated, but their numbers continued to increase, so they retreated for a while. Meanwhile, Li Hongwu had a plan. He had 2 other teams to accumulate points. For him, if this continued till the end, then he would definitely get first place. But on the other hand, it can be seen that Zuo Fan has now counted the number of points and already has around 10-14 points. Unfortunately, at that moment, Zuo Fan's perception skill sensed a wolf that looked different from the usual staring at them from afar. Pu Pan said that it was a wolf king who had level D and seemed to be evolving again. It was the wolf king of monsters, a monster that had grown to the upper levels in its rank. The wolf was angry that its children and grandchildren were slaughtered and eaten by them as well. Zuo Fan quickly carried Pu Pan to escape from the wolf's attack. The wolf was quite fast, but Zuo Fan was still able to dodge its attack. But when he slashed the wolf's body, the slash didn't penetrate or even scratch it at all. Seeing that the wolf was ready to butt in with its horns, Zuo Fan had no choice but to upgrade Willow Blossom Flash's skill to the partial level, and thanks to that he managed to avoid the Wolf King's charge, a charge that could penetrate boulders. Feeling not strong enough, Zuo Fan also increased his speed stat to 99, and that was already the maximum. And he wanted to test his increased strength. The Wolf King had attacked again. Zuo Fan's speed was indeed fast. He could dodge and try to slash with penetration skills. Although it managed to make a wound on the wolf's leg, but the wound regenerated very quickly, and without waiting for a long time the wolf came forward clawing at Zuo Fan's shoulder. There was no other choice. Zuo Fan chose to retreat first. This was the second time Zuo Fan retreated, and they managed to escape from the Wolf King's pursuit. But when they wanted to rest, several people came who wanted to snatch their points. Hearing their ridicule, both Zuo Fan and Pu Pan both got angry and directly beat them up, taking away all their points, even though they only got 150 points. At least that was enough to add to their current points gain. Making a reserve team to collect points is actually against the rules. If they are found out, they will be punished by the military. At that time, they saw a lot of people lying down, and Pu Pan immediately realized that this was a trap. There were 2 swift attacks that they managed to parry, and two twins known as the Li family's twin serpents appeared. Not only that, Zuo Fan also dodged every arrow that was aimed at him. It turned out that they were already surrounded. Pan ridiculed the Li family's way of using underhanded means, but the twin snakes didn't care. They charged forward. The green one started to attack quickly. Zuo Fan managed to dodge, while the red one started to run backwards, ready to stab Zuo Fan in the back. Every attack from the green one could be parried by Zuo Fan, while the red one behind could be repelled by Pan with his shield, but the arrows that kept attacking them quickly made Zuo Fan carry Pan out of that state. Zuo Fan was thinking about what a good plan to defeat them was, and just then he remembered the Snake Wolf King. The twins persuaded Zuo Fan to come out and hand over Pan, but Zuo Fan was very grudge with the Li family. He had already discussed his plan to Pan, and was sure it would work. Zuo Fan provoked their emotions, and it worked. The twin snakes immediately charged at Zuo Fan, who was running towards the Wolf King. With Pan's defense, they managed to get away, and Zuo Fan even injured Red's hand. Knowing that Zuo Fan's weapon was pretty good, the red one was quite happy and started to chase, but Zuo Fan left them at his speed. Seeing them stop chasing, Zuo Fan threw a bottle filled with green liquid and hit them directly. They were very angry after knowing the contents of the liquid. It was skunk excrement, and they started to chase again what was waiting for them. At that time, Zuo Fan got farther away, and a Wolf King appeared who ambushed the twin snakes. And at that time, the twin snakes realized that they had been trapped by Zuo Fan and Pan. The twin snakes were forced to fight the Wolf King. Their attacks were successfully blocked, and he ordered the archers to aim for the Wolf King's eyes. But that all failed. The Wolf King blocked their every attack and prevented them from escaping. Zuo Fan and Pan, who saw that on top of the cliff, thought if that group would definitely be able to defeat the Wolf King. But fortunately, the Wolf King could hold them off. The Wolf King charged at the twin snakes even though they managed to dodge. What he was aiming for was the archer, who he immediately tore apart on the cliff. The red one took out a golden whip item that could bind the Wolf King's movements. It was a monster's reins, and with that item it could catch monsters more easily. It was made with monster core and tendons and included rare items. The twin snakes launched a combo attack that managed to make the Wolf King battered. But the Wolf King didn't give up. He attacked the twin snakes with his flying horns and pierced through both of their chests. Seeing Zuo Fan's chance, and Pan attacked the other two archers. Zuo Fan had already stepped forward and stabbed the Wolf King's head when the twin snakes were able to get up, but Zuo Fan already knew and shot arrows at the bodies of the two. The twin snakes were angry after being trapped. Zuo Fan was very grateful for bringing them a lot of points. And finally, the twin snakes died. When Zuo Fan was about to kill the Wolf King, he had already run away. Zuo Fan chased after him because he didn't want to miss the points of the Wolf King and the harness too, while Pan was thinking about eating rank D monster meat. The Wolf King came to a cave. When the Wolf King fell, the system said that the Wolf King was dead. They collected all the materials that could be sold expensive, including the reins. Pan counted the points from them and earned an additional 350 points. Zuo Fan and Pan Yang wondered what was in the cave and decided to enter. And inside they were surprised to see lots of wolf corpses lying around. But thanks to that, they got an additional 300 points. They saw that there was a claw pointing upwards. Zuo Fan decided to go up to see what was there. Until there, he saw a tree with pink leaves that bloomed very beautifully. He also saw lots of eagle fox guarding it. Seeing how many eagle fox he had, he knew that he would not be able to defeat them. Then at Ghost Rain's camp entrance, 72 hours of hunting was over. The leaderboard is currently the highest with 526 points. And it's not finished yet because there are many candidates who haven't given their points, including Li Hongwu and Ji Zhan. He is a member of the military force. Likewise with Zuo Fan and Pan have just come back from their hunt, and they are curious about who got first place and got the alien artifact. The joint operation is over. The soldiers have given their game. Zuo Fan was almost too late to come back to the camp, and Pan told him who was the candidate for the first rank. There was Li Hongwu, who looked depressed because the twin snakes didn't come soon. Then there was Ji Zhan, who had already given his points, and he got 746 points to be the number one. Li Hongwu gave his materials with a total of 813 points, and became the first place that almost broke the record. Zuo Fan also knows who Hongwu is. When he was young, He was arrogant, and it was his grandfather who fawned over his father. Pupan had submitted his hunted results, making the officers very confused as to why Pupan could get so many materials, and his point value totaled 835. That was the result that broke the previous record. Hongwu was even more shocked, but Pupan said that his grades were nothing compared to his boss. Pupan seemed to have considered Zuo Fan as his brother. Zuo Fan's initial result was 810 points, but he took out one Wolf King's fang. The appraiser had tested it, and sure enough, it was indeed the fang of the Wolf King. The appraiser couldn't determine how much the fang was worth. Hongwu, who saw the material that belonged to Zuo Fan, already knew that it was from the twin snakes, and he was stupidly angry and ordered soldiers to catch the cheating Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan took it easy and emitted a frightening aura towards Hongwu. Just as Zuo Fan was about to draw out his sword, a spear stabbed in and stopped their movements. 3 important people came. In front was Chen San with Li Zhong and Pu Hao behind. They were at the warlord level. Hearing Hongwu accuse Zuo Fan of cheating, Chen San agreed and was going to check all the warriors who dared to cheat. But Li Zhong thought there was no need for inspection, and finally Chen San gave the Wolf King 500 points. With that point, Zuo Fan was ranked first with 1310 points. Chen San praised him and wanted Zuo Fan to join the military force. Likewise with Pu Hao wanting Zuo Fan to join the mercenary. Li Zhong himself wanted to leave immediately and said goodbye while inviting them to the Operation Celebration party this time. Li Zhong knew that Zuo Fan was the son of a traitor and would not let him go. Zuo Fan himself was quite happy because in this way he could enter the military base that his father said he would. On the way, Zuo Fan thought if he illegally entered this place, it would definitely end in death. Luckily, he didn't have time to do so yet. Zuo Fan, along with Pupan and Jizhan, had already arrived at the place where they would receive the reward. The 3 met Chen San, who gave him a security consultant's license and a check for money. The difference in figures was quite large, with Pupan and Jizhan getting 3 million and 2 million, while Zuo Fan got the 8 million because Zuo Fan broke the record. If Zuo Fan wanted to enter the military, the reward would be increased. But Zuo Fan chose to go to the mercenary guild, which had treated him well. And the most awaited gift of the alien artifact was already in his hand. When he opened the box, there was an orange orb. It was tested safe for humans, and would record the information he got. Zuo Fan had eaten the artifact, and after that the system said it would maximize its effect 100%, and Zuo Fan gains 20 stats to strength. Everyone present was surprised because what Zuo Fan got reached 20 stats points, because increasing stats points is very difficult, requiring a lot of practice and killing lots of monsters. But getting alien artifacts is very good, especially getting 20 points. In addition, they are also entitled to have combat skills, so that they are then taken to a forbidden place. Zuo Fan's destination was to the safe deposit box number 99, 63, and it seemed that place was quite far. They then arrived at a room, and Chen San said that Pu Pan and Jizhan could choose D-rank skills. Among the 3 skills the military chose, Pu Pan chose wave/skills and Jizhan chose movement skills. Zuo Fan got special treatment. He was free to choose the skills here. In many skills, Zuo Fan chooses the Shadow Flash Blade skill, a skill that is quite difficult to learn, but if Zuo Fan already has a system, so it's easy for him to learn the technique. Chen San gave a condition that Zuo Fan was not allowed to teach the skill to other people, and after they left, Zuo Fan already knew that this place was, if they wanted to enter, they had to get a permit, or had to become a warlord-level soldier to enter room 80 and above, giving him a purpose. Clear to be warlord level. After that there was a short meeting. Pu Hao gave a gift of 1 million to Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan went straight to the training ground to use his new skill, Shadow Flash Blade. Meanwhile, Pu Pan had told everything that happened in the joint operation to his father. Pu Hao was furious, and was going to take revenge on that Li Zhong. At the training ground, it was seen that Zuo Fan had activated his new skill that only needed 20 stat points. He was quite happy with the development of his strength. The skills he got were also very powerful and useful. After training, he saw Pu Pan with Ru Jie outside. Zuo Fan gave gifts to Ru Jie and Pu Pan, who saw that was a little hurt, but he learned from Zuo Fan how to be a bad boy. After that, Ru Jie and Pu Pan took Zuo Fan to a very nice and safe residential area here. On the way, Zuo Fan saw a woman with gray-haired glasses who looked familiar on her face. It turned out that Rujie and Pupan took her to Zuo Fan's house that the mercenary gave him. It was huge just for him, and he was very happy to thank Pupan and Rujie. 3 days later at the Li family home, Zuo Fan and Pupan were there for the joint operation celebration party. They appeared in style, and when they entered the party, it was quite extraordinary. Zuo Fan thought that the Li family currently had a lot of money. Could it be that the money was from accusing his father of being a traitor? Meanwhile, above was Li Hongwu, who was still emotional looking at Zuo Fan. Beside him was a burly man named Li Rong. He was the one who nurtured the twin snakes, so he came down before Zuo Fan, who killed the twin snakes. Li Rong was known as the strongest warrior of the family Li. He came to engage him in sparring with additional provocation from Li Hongwu, who was the host. Zuo Fan replied that he only thought that accidentally killing him would definitely offend the Li family. They had already agreed to spar. They moved to the training ground to have a power struggle. Li Rong wore his shield and morning star. He charged forward at Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan was able to dodge. He knew Li Rong was strong enough. Li Rong used his skills to attack, but Zuo Fan easily parried each of those attacks, and he improved his Willow Blossom Flash technique. With that, Zuo Fan advanced simultaneously using his new skill Shadow Flash Blade. Li Rong held him back, but at that time his shield split. He was afraid to ask for help from his master, but Zuo Fan mercilessly continued his attack and immediately killed him. Zuo Fan thought that Li Rong was very strong, but it turned out to be no more than he thought. Everyone there saw and was surprised by Zuo Fan's strength. An angry Hongwu said that to his father. An angry Li Zhong immediately went forward to kill Zuo Fan. But at that time Pu Hao came, who resisted his attack. The two of them clashed attack, and ended when Pu Hao said that Li Rong was the one who started all this. Li Zhong stopped because there was also Chen San present. He left after threatening Zuo Fan. After that, Zuo Fan thanked Pu Hao, who saved him. Meanwhile, Li Zhong was angry at his useless son. He had been planning this for years. Zuo Fan's presence was very dangerous, and they had to kill Zuo Fan immediately. And the same woman escorted Zuo Fan's father to the prison flew by seeing all that from distance. 1 week later, it was seen that Zuo Fan was continuously practicing to increase his strength. He wanted to be stronger for his revenge. At that time, Rujie came, who said that Zuo Fan had been assigned to the hunting team, and they immediately went to meet the hunting team. When he got there, he saw that there was Pu Pan, and there were 3 other warriors, whose red hair was named Qiu Feng. The gray one was called Gan Qi. Both were at advanced level, and the one who became captain was named Xin Jian. He was even a beginner-level warlord. The 3 of them were a top mercenary team with the name Sword Hunt Team. Seeing Pu Pan's familiarity with them, Zuo Fan was very happy. Xinjin said that their hunt would be carried out in Ghost Rain Mountain full of B-rank monsters. If the 2 couldn't keep up, he would expel them. Zuo Fan felt the pressure and promised that he would try not to burden the team. Xin Jian immediately made his move to visit Ghost Rain. It's about time for the monsters to get more aggressive at night. What's more, if they know they bring a car like this, they can lure a lot of monsters. Instead of looking for monsters, it's better to lure monsters. By that time, Zuo Fan had already come out withstanding the surprise attack, and Pu Pan already knew that it was the arrow feather of the tail fur arrow. It was the weakest D-rank monster. Killing the monster was just the 2 of you. This was like a test for them to prove themselves, wasn't it? Only the burden of the team. The fox returned to shooting arrows, and the 2 were already advancing. Pu Pan asked Zuo Fan not to join the attack. He had already blocked every arrow with his defensive technique. After that, Pu Pan jumped and knocked the fox down and knocked the fox to the ground by hitting its head with the shield. After that, Zuo Fan gave the final attack. The 3 of them saw how Pu Pan's strength was not just talk, but they didn't get to see Zuo Fan's strength. Gan Qi said that maybe Zuo Fan would surprise them, because there was no way for Zuo Fan to be weak, especially seeing Pu Pan following him around like a minion. Zuo Fan felt something strange. At that time, 2 chameleon monsters appeared, which was quite troublesome. Xinjian came down to help, but he stopped because Zuo Fan was faster. The chameleons have camouflage abilities and move very fast. Their weakness is in their eyes. If they can't kill both of them directly would be troublesome. Zuo Fan used the Shadow Flash Blade. Double Lightning Flash attacked the 2 chameleons very quickly. Not even the chameleons' attack. until Zuo Fan had finished them off. The Sword Hunter team was very surprised to see how Zuo Fan easily defeated the chameleon with one strike. Likewise, Xinjian was amazed by his abilities and called Zuo Fan a genius. After that, Xinjian accepted the two into their hunting team. Continued they encounter some monsters but can be defeated with good teamwork. Currently they are resting, and Zuo Fan praises the teamwork and strength of advanced warriors. Zuo Fan also earned a lot of points until Xinjian told him to rest because at this time they were at the border of the Red region, a very dangerous area because a lot of beginner warlord level monsters appeared. Hearing materials from warlord level monsters that sold very expensively, Zuo Fan couldn't stop smiling. At that time, Ganqi, who was fishing for monsters, had arrived. They brought a group of monsters and told them to get ready immediately and be careful if there were monsters that mutated. These monsters were known to like to group together and tend to mutate. They could rank up easily. Ganqi had gotten back into position and the monsters had already attacked. Pupan managed to hold off the two monsters, and Zuo Fan saw his chance and slashed at both of them. Zuo Fan easily attacked his prey and thus increased his points. Ganqi behaved very strangely and was behind Zuo Fan and was about to attack him. At that moment, a monster from above was about to pounce on him, and luckily, there was Zuo Fan who quickly flew over and stabbed the monster's heart. The battle was going well, but the sheer number of monsters gave them a hard time. That's when they exploded. Explosives and so on made the monsters quickly mutate, and what was behind it was Li Hongwu Yang wanted revenge on Zuo Fan, and sure enough, there was one mutated monster. Zuo Fan quickly saved Ku Feng from the mutated monster. There was a crystal on his back. Li Hongwu was very happy to see that couldn't wait to see how Zuo Fan died. Xinjian charged towards the mutated monster. Both of them clashing attacks in the same rank made their fighting attacks even more intense. Thanks to that, Xinjian felt able to level up. Xinjian has been waiting for this moment for many years, but it has prevented him from reaching the warlord level. But at this time, Ganqi treacherously stabbed Xinjiang in the back, and immediately retreated after saying all this was caused by Zuo Fan making the Li family his enemy. Back to the sword hunting group that was betrayed, Xinjian, who was impaled, was helpless when he was hit by an attack from the mutation monster. Chu Feng ordered Zuo Fan to help Xinjian, who was already injured. Hongwu was happy to see that because he had already made Ganqi a spy, and he would kill them all here. All the arrows had begun to aim at the party sword hunting. Chu Feng was hit by one arrow and had to hold off the mutated monsters in front of him. He told Pupan and Zuo Fan to take Xinjian away from here, and he would endure the mutation. Zuo Fan made a very quick decision. He knocked Chu Feng unconscious. He would take Chu Feng's place, ordered Pupan to take the two of them away from here. Let Zuo Fan divert this monster, and not leave immediately. Zuo Fan knocked Chu Feng down and ordered Pupan to take him away immediately, because he believed that Zuo Fan could do that thanks to the help of the development system. Zuo Fan was very quick to kill monsters while increasing his strength to 99, but their number was very large. Zuo Fan chose to run, but the mutation was quickly catching up with him. Zuo Fan was forced to improve his skills to be able to escape from the mutation chase. He had managed to escape past the deranged monsters, but he had to hurry back to where Pupan was. Hongwu, who was the mastermind of all these incidents, instead waited for Zuo Fan to die, and didn't kill him right away. Also at Pupan's place, Chu Feng already realized they were stopped because there was a deadlock, and at that time there was an attack from the fox. Pupan resisted all the attacks, and Zuo Fan had arrived there to eradicate all the foxes that were behind them. Surprised to see Zuo's strength increasing fans. Zuo Fan already knew that this monster's nature would be revenge, and would continue to chase. He ordered them to climb the cliff, and thanks to that, they escaped from the monsters. Zuo Fan couldn't hold back his anger with the Li family, and was going to kill them all with his own hands. Qiu Feng praised the strength of Zuo Fan, who managed to escape. They were shocked to know that Zuo Fan's skill had risen so quickly. The unconscious Xinjian radiated energy ready to advance to the warlord level. The warrior who advanced to the warlord level was called the best warrior. Xinjian had been heavily injured protecting his team before. That made his chances of advancing to warlord very low. But after forming a sword hunting team, he hunted many monsters in Ghost Rain and was currently ready to level up to warlord. Zuo Fan asked whether advancing to warlord simply by killing monsters was the same as monsters mutating. They mutated due to provocation. Likewise, humans leveled up by fighting, and so far there has been no other way. At that time, the day had changed. Dawn had arrived. They were surprised to see a group of eagle fox who were ready to kill them. The three angle foxes had already advanced to attack Chu Feng and Pu Pan, who was injured. Zuo Fan was only passed by, and Pu Pan gave advice to find a cave to make it easier to fight them. But Chu Feng said the eagle fox was very cunning. They were probably in a nest around here, and they were already a target to be hunted. Zuo Fan heard Chu Feng's words that they needed a ranged weapon that could attack. Eagle Fox again launched its attack on Pu Pan and Ku Feng, who were ready to defend themselves. Zuo Fan attacked the Eagle Fox, using the weapons he got from the twin snakes. 2 ropes were tied up to bind the monsters. Zuo Fan quickly attacked and killed 2 eagle foxes, but one of them managed to escape. Ku Feng told him to quickly kill because the eagle fox was very cunning, and he would report to the herd. Zuo Fan quickly chased after it. There was one occasion when Zuo Fan attacked Eagle and instantly killed him. At that time he had arrived in a cave which is believed to be the nest of Eagle Fox. When Zuo Fan entered the cave, he remembered this place. He had been here during the joint operation. The difference was, he didn't feel any terrifying aura before. He saw a light that might just be an artifact with the power that he was currently confident of being able to take it with an attack. Quietly, Zuo Fan managed to finish off the guards at the place using his handy weapon. Zuo Fan made it to a tree there, and he saw an emerald green alien artifact. Is this really an alien artifact? Zuo Fan investigated the area, and there was one eagle fox sleeping. He was the king of the eagle fox. When a rabbit wanted to eat the artifact, a guard who was hiding immediately killed him. By using perception, Zuo Fan became aware of the many guards hiding. Zuo Fan easily dealt with the guards. He also improved his skills and started clearing the guards quickly. Zuo Fan had already cleared out all those guards. He dangled and got the alien artifact easily. At that time, the king of the eagle fox woke up, and he realized that many of his brothers had been killed and his property stolen. But he could not leave yet because he seemed to be incubating his eggs and would kill the intruders when the cubs were born. Zuo Fan had already come out of the cave, and in his hand was an alien artifact. The system informed that Zuo Fan could not use it yet, and Zuo Fan was forced to save the alien artifact and go to Pu Pan's place. Meanwhile, Pu Pan and Ku Feng had moved places, but they could be found by the monsters. They endured all the attacks from the monsters, and at that moment Zuo Fan came from behind to mow down the monsters. Zuo Fan will confidently kill that mutated beast. Ku Feng understood, and was going to protect Xinjiang from that mutated beast that had begun to roar with an extremely terrifying aura. Zuo Fan calmly stepped forward. He felt that the mutation was not as strong as before. Zuo Fan easily wiped out the other small monsters, and thanks to that the points gained were very large. He aimed his attack at the mutation. The 2 attacks had met so that Zuo Fan was pushed back. Zuo Fan quickly dodged the mutation's bite and swiftly bound the mutation with the reins. He also raised his skill to advance and succeeded in killing the pseudo-warlord level monster. The 2 of them were very surprised to see what happened, and praised Zuo Fan, who was only getting stronger. Chu Feng stopped the chatter and took care of the monsters. Zuo Fan couldn't wait to sell the monster, and Pu Pan couldn't wait to eat the flesh of the monster's pseudo-warlord. They had cut out any expensive parts from the monster. Pu Pan also found 2 D-rank monster cores, which was pretty good considering monster cores were hard to find. But Xinjiang still didn't wake up. Meanwhile, there were 2 people from Li family who wanted to see their corpses. But Zuo Fan was already waiting for them, and immediately dismounted to slay them. Zuo Fan's speed and strength had increased. He flew to slaughter all the people from the Li family standing guard around. Zuo Fan had reached the top of the tree to greet them all. He asked where the cowardly Li was hiding. They were very arrogant and took out their weapons and were ready to kill Zuo Fan. There was also Gan Chi, who was shocked to see that Zuo Fan's changes were noticeably different from before. It was like facing a pseudo-warlord level warrior. As a scout, Gan Chi could feel an overwhelming sense of danger, and he told them not to fight Zuo Fan, but he was too late because Zuo Fan had already slaughtered everyone in front of him. Gan Chi was scared and ran away. Gan Chi, why rush? Captain Xinjian and Uncle Chu Feng want to see you." Zuo Fan was already behind him, catching up to him. Zuo Fan slashed at him, but Gan Qi was not to be outdone. He also attacked Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan resisted the attack, but his attack hit Gan Qi faster. Zuo Fan ordered to surrender and was going to take him to the captain to receive punishment, but Gan Qi stood up and thrust Zuo Fan's sword into his chest. His only choice was that he had to die here because he was embarrassed to meet Captain Gan Qi, who was a scout in the sword hunting that more and more famous. And he earned a lot of money from sword hunting in the past. It is said that in the past, there were 5 people and 2 others died when there was a monster wave. Gan Qi, who was tired of fighting, entered gambling. His huge debt made him a spy for the Li family, until he found out that this was just a trap for the Li family. He advised Zuo Fan, who had been targeted by the Li family, Gan Qi's last message before dying, to tell his family that he died from hunting. Zuo Fan heard that there was a call from the Li family who might be close by. He immediately went there. Hongwu, who was waiting, already knew that he had lost contact with the other team. At that time, there was a great tremor that made them decide to withdraw, because there was a possibility of an outbreak. Likewise, Zuo Fan knew he had let Hongwu run for a while. Where the Eagle Fox King was seen, his egg emitted a bright light which was about to hatch. A few days after the hunt at Gan Qi's residence, it was seen that his father and mother had been informed that Gan Qi had died during the hunt. Meanwhile, at the mercenary headquarters, Xinjian is still unconscious. Chu Feng was thankful that Xinjian didn't die. If he woke up, he would definitely be at the warlord level. Zuo Fan couldn't hold back his emotions towards the Li family who had caused so much trouble. His assistant said that if the Li family didn't commit crimes openly, if they declared war, they would be the same as becoming the enemy of the Starfall family in Jining City. His assistant reassured his boss. This tragedy brought the advantage that Xinjian had already advanced to warlord, and also Zuo Fan, who also confirmed Chu Feng had advanced to the novice warlord level. If that was true, then in the future, mercenaries would have enough strength to destroy the Li family. A week later, Zuo Fan was seen training. He tried the method of leveling up by focusing on training, but the result was empty, because he had not yet leveled up to warlord level. The only other option is hunting monsters. Currently Zuo Fan's stats are all 99 points, and it's just a matter of leveling up. At that time he smelled grilled meat, and he immediately went there to see Pu Pan, who was grilling meat with Rujie, Chu Feng, and Captain Xinjian, who was already conscious and already at the warlord level. Xinjian thanks Zuo Fan for saving him, and Xinjian tells him to eat first because after this they meet Pu Hao to receive gifts. After eating, Xinjian had already given a hunting bounty to Zuo Fan. In the hunt, Zuo Fan got 100 million. And Xinjian said there was even a situation where the Li family lost a lot of warriors, but not necessarily nothing bad will happen after this. It only takes one small spark can trigger a war team sword. Hunter can become the target of the Li family, and their main target must be Zuo Fan. The Starfall family and the mercenary association of the 12 parties are always fighting behind the scenes. They are always vying to be the best in their warriors. Now Xinjiang has become a warlord who can make mercenaries restore the state of the Starfall family. Plus, Zuo Fan can also ascend to warlord. It would be dangerous for him to continue using equipment that didn't support him fighting fellow warlords, and Xinjian took them to auction in search of good equipment. And unexpectedly, when they were there, they ran into the Li family. It looked like Hongwu was very surprised to see Zuo Fan, who was not injured at all. Xinjiang, who was very angry, released his warlord aura so that the guards there stopped their fight. They had the right to execute everyone who made trouble at the auction. For now, they are not fighting power. The 2 young men ran into Hongwu, who was with a special agent who said, "Don't worry, if all goes according to plan, then they will be over." The special agent was curious about the rookie warlord like Zuo Fan. They had arrived at the auction. There were many people already seated, including Zuo Fan, who had also been told how to use it. He looked at the items listed on it, and found there was one wind blade that used a rank D monster core. The starting price was 50 million, and with the money at this moment, it was possible that he could afford it. Xinjiang might say that it's possible that the money is lacking because a lot of people are looking for weapons like this. Zuo Fan was forced to sell his 2 D-rank monster cores, and currently has a total of 160 million. When Zuo Fan returned, he saw that the sword's price had increased by 70 million. There was a competition for wealth where Zuo Fan continued to increase his money and managed to buy Windblade for 110 million. The auctioneer had already handed the sword to Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan checked the status of the sword. Using it got 90 speed stats and 30% strength. He was very happy to get the sword, but his heart ached to give up the 110 million money just like that. Meanwhile, Hongwu, who saw Zuo Fan, who bought the sword, he didn't think it was Zuo Fan who killed all his people. He was triggered to become strong. Another item in the auction was a D-rank alien artifact. Zuo Fan heard the host say that the artifact is good for level 2. Because those words caused a lot of interested buyers, the initial price was 15 million, and now it is 55 million. Hongwu, who wanted the artifact, increased the price all the way to 60 million. Seeing that, Zuo Fan had a sinister idea. In silence, he deliberately increased the price. The artifact had already exceeded the market price, which is usually only 40 million at the most. But Hongwu kept raising the price to be able to get the item, as well as Zuo Fan, who wanted Hongwu's money to run out, until finally, Hongwu bought the alien artifact for 100 million. Pupin congratulated him while mocking him, and Hongwu was angry that he had been tricked. After buying the alien artifact, Hongwu left the auction while Zuo Fan was still around. At that time, he saw a book that cost 30 million, even though the D-rank maneuver skill usually costs 10 million. Floating Step of Luminosity, a long-lost skill. It's no wonder the price is so expensive. It's the technique of the late warlord who died in Outbreak 3 years ago. He died exhausted from fighting monsters for 3 days and 3 nights. The Floating Step of Luminosity skill was the reason why he could fight for so long. Zuo Fan looked at the system, saying that the skill book was C rank. Zuo Fan had to hold it to get the complete information. A Zuo Fan decided to buy the book, and everyone was so surprised when Zuo Fan bought it. Zuo Fan just wanted to give it a try. He already got the book, and to activate proof it takes 45 points. That's a lot, because for D rank only 20 points, he can activate that skill. Because the book is still a fragment, Zuo Fan hasn't activated it yet. Since his current points are 47, he seems uncomfortable if he doesn't have less than 30 points in reserve. After that, they returned to the base where Xinjian invited Zuo Fan to spar and test his new weapon. They arrived at the training ground, and Xinjian allowed Zuo Fan to attack first. Zuo Fan has experienced the aura of a warlord, but fighting head-on is completely different. He rushes forward at a speed that even Pupin can hardly see. Zuo Fan was pushed. He tested the strength of the Windblade. He stepped forward and activated his weapon of extreme dexterity. A purple aura rushed out. Xinjian also activated his large sword. A large slash of flame dye collided with Zuo Fan's purple aura. Zuo Fan's strength was not strong enough. He was inferior to Xinjian. The system wanted to activate his new skill, but he had not activated it yet. After that, the sparring was over. Pu Hao and his assistant did not expect that Zuo Fan's strength could keep up with Xinjian. Meanwhile, in a lab, there were Li Hongwu and Li Zhong, who were with someone who was testing something. At that time, he felt someone. He slashed at the place where the person was hiding, but the intruder was able to get out of that place faster. Employee. They said most of the test data had been... It was stolen by the hooded man. But Li Zhong said the attack contained poison, so the intruder couldn't be far from here. Give chase, and the test data must be recovered. Returning to Zuo Fan, who was going home, he saw a lot of blood there. In one place, Zuo Fan saw a gray-haired woman who was surrounded by monsters. Zuo Fan was so surprised to see the woman's attack that managed to blow up the monster's head, and at the same time the woman seemed to know her, and he ordered Zuo Fan to take him away from this place. He ran away from the Li family and had to run quickly before he was caught. In Zuo Fan's mind, instead, he thought this was a fated meeting. Just then came a group of monsters that somehow managed to work together. The two people who were chasing directly attacked Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan easily killed the two of them. Zuo Fan saw the woman's face and finally knew who she was. Seeing that many pursuers were almost there, Zuo Fan immediately took the woman away from this place. Zuo Fan had already taken him to the mercenary base. They had taken care of him and would likely wake up 72 hours later. His name is Su Lan. The file he is carrying cannot be accessed because it uses a military code that can only be opened by the military. If you force it to open it, and it is wrong, then the files inside will be lost. Zuo Fan is also very curious about why there are monsters in the middle of the city. Pu Hao was also weird about those monsters. It was probably human-made, and if that was true, then it would be a serious problem. At that time, Li Zheng called Pu Hao. Li Zheng accused Zuo Fan of stealing something belonging to the Li family. He demanded to hand over Zuo Fan as soon as possible. But Pu Hao didn't want to. He would not hand over his person to the Li family. The people beside him had already said that they might be able to open that file quickly. With that time, they could get rid of Zuo Fan as well. That person smiled slyly, and did not expect that Zuo Fan was Zuo Hui's son. A few moments later, a siren sounded. All the channels broadcast Li Zheng saying that Zuo Fan stole and killed a person from the Li family. Whoever killed Zuo Fan, he would get 10 billion, a huge amount for one person's head. On the military side, Li Zheng ordered the closing of the base and forbidding all personnel from leaving. Pu Hao got a call from the Central Mercenary Alliance who would follow the rules and would not interfere with affairs. There at that time, Pu Pan came in and he said that Zuo Fan had left the mercenaries to avoid conflicts that would occur if he remained in the base. Pu Hao ordered them to prepare to fight against the Li family. Zuo Fan was outside in an area to fight these money-crazed people. When a few people came to surround him, Zuo Fan easily killed them all. They tried to set up a barrier to prevent Zuo Fan from escaping, but Zuo Fan calmly activated his sword in one strike, killing everyone there and destroying the barrier. Zuo Fan changed places again. Humans were more ruthless when it came to money. Meanwhile, at Hongwu's place, he was already confident that he could kill Zuo Fan this time. The pursuit of the 10 billion bounty continues. It is not easy for Zuo Fan to have killed so many advanced warriors. The head of the Starfall family is this matter, because the country's main family has already told them to keep quiet. Zuo Fan kept running to kill the person who came for his head. Thanks to the healing effect of the artifact he had, he was able to survive this long. When 2 attacks came, he dodged and saw that Hongwu immediately came down to hunt him down. He was very angry and confident, because they brought a pseudo-warlord-level soldier. The 2 people directly attacked Zuo Fan, and Zuo Fan could withstand the attack of the 2. Hongwu was even more angry knowing that Zuo Fan's strength was comparable to that of a pseudo-warlord. The attack that many Zuo Fan chose to hide first after killing many people, he finally activated the floating step of luminosity skill. After the skill was active, both of his legs felt pain, as if he was being attacked. But then his legs had no weight at all, and he knew that this skill was so strong. Thanks to that skill, his speed increased by 50% at the cost of 1% stamina per minute. By the time the Li family had found him, they had regarded Zuo Fan as easy prey. Zuo Fan was confident in his speed. At this time, he activated his skill and swiftly dodged every single attack from the 2 people and directly slashed them. Luckily, they had armor that could protect their bodies. So they weren't dead yet. With all the excuses, they came back to attack Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan increased his skills again quickly as he disappeared, and arrived behind, slashing the 2 of them to death. The rest were just weaklings easily exterminated by Zuo Fan. Hongwu, who was waiting outside, was curious why his men didn't come out immediately, and he was startled by the voice of Zuo Fan, who was already behind him. "Li Hongwu, you looking for me? Incidentally, I want to pay off my debt. Take your weapon and let's fight to the death." The cowardly Li Hongwu ordered his men to advance, and he retreated instead. But Zuo Fan easily slaughtered them. He had also been directly in front of Hongwu. Hongwu had no choice but to fight, but a single punch from Zuo Fan sent him flying. Hongwu kowtowed for mercy while calling him young master Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan recalled his past when the Li family fawned over his family. Meanwhile, Li Zheng, who was just sitting quietly, received a call from his son's phone. Zuo Fan's voice had threatened that he would kill Hongwu if Li Zheng did not reveal who was the mastermind behind his father's imprisonment. Hearing that the person beside Li Zheng pressed something directly towards Hongwu's neck. At that time, Hongwu for no apparent reason felt pain and attacked Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan stabbed him in the shoulder, but somehow Hongwu died immediately, even though he was not stabbed in a vital area. Zuo Fan was sure it was poison, and began to chase the person who shot the poison. Li Zheng had already received information that his son Li Hongwu was already in the afterlife waiting for his father to follow him. He was furious and would intervene immediately. He no longer cared about warlord rules. Intervene His child is already dead, so he will kill Zuo Fan with his own hands. Meanwhile, the person beside Li Zhong called someone, said he was done, and told him to buy time until Li Zhong met Zuo Fan and not reveal himself. Zuo Fan was chasing the person who shot the poison. He was a warlord with the code name Guard Kai, and he disappeared quickly. Zuo Fan, who is a fugitive, continues to be hunted down, but Zuo Fan is already strong and has succeeded in slaughtering everyone there. He finally knows the law of the strong will survive, the weak will die. Zuo Fan refuses to die and will continue to survive. Bloody night in the city, many people died caused by one person. Zuo Fan saw Guard Kai, so he increased his skills and tried to chase after him, still confident in his speed, and had already disappeared from Zuo Fan's sight. After he left, he sounded the beacon which Li Zhong saw in person. He went straight to that location. Hearing Li Zhong breaking the rules, Zuo Fan's relatives immediately went to help, including Ji Zhan. Meanwhile, in the Starfall family, who knew about it as well, but they didn't take action, because the only ones fighting were advanced warriors. And in essence, they underestimated Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan, who was walking, was startled by the appearance of Li Zhong, who immediately attacked him from behind. Zuo Fan mocked him and challenged him to come forward. He knew that it was very powerful. Zuo Fan advanced using a skill that increased his speed. Li Zhong was still smiling down on Zuo Fan's speed. He dodged every attack by Zuo Fan easily. When Zuo Fan appeared behind him, he could see him and rushed behind Zuo Fan while directing his fiery punch. Zuo Fan was able to withstand his attacks, but he was pushed away. Zuo Fan was unable to keep up with Li Zhong, who was charging back at him. Zuo Fan's speed increased again. He dodged and attacked Li Zhong from behind. But Li Zhong the warlord easily dodged and gave him successive blows. Zuo Fan ran away again. He finally knew that Li Zhong was at the peak warlord level novice. Every attack of Li Zhong could be dodged by Zuo Fan, but it took great effort. Zuo Fan's body was already on the verge of breaking, but at that time several people came who could serve as points for him. Zuo Fan was overjoyed to see that, and quickly slaughtered everyone who attacked him, and earned 45 points to upgrade the floating step of luminosity skill to perfection. He quickly ran until Li Zhong lost track of Zuo Fan's speed increase. Zuo Fan, who was hiding, drank a stamina and SP potion. At that time, there was an attack that luckily he was able to avoid it. It was Guard Kai who used his gun. He didn't expect that Zuo Fan would be this powerful. He had to kill him. Here Zuo Fan is thinking about why Kai didn't kill him. Previously, he finally knew that Kai was aiming to make Zuo Fan a suspect in Li's death. Zuo Fan wanted to run away from it immediately. But at that time, Kai made a barrier with weapons. Kai again made a sign that made Li Zhong already there, so that Zuo Fan was trapped between the tigers and the wolves. Zuo Fan would bet on the alien artifact he was holding. Meanwhile, at the heads of the Starfall family who saw it too, they were already sure this would be over soon. Meanwhile, the mercenaries and military were on their way to Zuo Fan's place to help him. Kai blew a monster control device that would hinder mercenaries and military. Zuo Fan was already cornered. He became a punching bag for Li Zhong. He fell down because the system kept saying don't eat the alien artifact because it could kill him. There was only a 30% chance it would work. But Zuo Fan's circumstances were desperate for him to eat the artifact. Whatever happened, his body felt like it would explode. Li Zhong, who was in front of him, kept beating him mercilessly until Zuo Fan couldn't fight back. Xinjiang and the others had arrived, but they were a bit late. Li Zhong's last punch was halted, as Zuo Fan's body had suddenly risen to the novice warlord level. Zuo Fan felt his strength rising. Zuo Fan had already advanced to the novice warlord level and charged at him. Zuo Fan easily parried every attack from Li Zhong. Without waiting for a long time, Zuo Fan charged at him. Li Zhong couldn't dodge and took the attack. His hand was slashed, and he was very surprised to see Zuo Fan, who had already risen to the novice warlord level, and he wasn't even 20 years old yet. Li Zhong still believed that Zuo Fan was using a cunning trick, so he charged forward again with his two hands accumulating enormous energy, which Zuo Fan countered using a floating step of luminosity. He parried every attack from Li Zhong and Guard Kai, who saw that were stunned to see how Zuo Fan had already been born to the novice warlord level and was the youngest in the world. Xinjiang, who saw that, was sure that Zuo Fan was already at the warlord level. Also, Li Zhong went forward. He would not let Zuo Fan's life be in peace. Every time Li Zhong's attack, he saw Li Zhong's movement slow down a little. Zuo Fan's swift attack was already weakening it. Li Zhong couldn't even see the attack. The two continued to attack each other, but Zuo Fan had the upper hand. Hearing that Zuo Fan had ascended as a warlord, he had only been silent all along, hoping that Li Zhong would continue to live, because if Zuo Fan won and killed Li Zhong, the Starfall family would be in big trouble. Kai also saw Zuo Fan as a dangerous figure. He had to finish him here or kill Zuo Fan, who was in front of Li Zhong. Seeing the old geezer using cunning means he already knew from his cunning face he could avoid it, and at that time a green snake attack from behind him. Zuo Fan lost his speed faster than Kai's attack. Li Zhong jumped back thinking it was an opening, but Zuo Fan was able to avoid it and slashed several times. Zuo Fan stepped forward again. He punched the old geezer in the face and was about to make his face burst like a rose. Zuo Fan mercilessly continued to beat him until Li Zhong, who was about to lose, fell prostrate to Zuo Fan for mercy. Zuo Fan would not be fooled, but he wanted to know who was the mastermind behind his father's troubles. Before hearing Li Zhong's words, Zuo Fan already knew there was an explosion. The explosion had already occurred, and Kai quickly carried Li Zhong's body flying away. Zuo Fan was curious about who this person really was, always bothering him. Everyone there was very surprised to see Zuo Fan defeating Li Zhong. Li Zhong told them that they would not be killed because Li Zhong had already run away. They all wanted to live and left immediately. Pupan immediately approached him and hugged him happily. Xinjian said to return to the association because Pu Hao was waiting for him. Jijan, who was there, also said that Chen San wanted to meet Zuo Fan when there was time. Zuo Fan was in the warlord now, so he could go to the place where his father kept his secret. Jijan called Chen San and said this incident was unfair to Zuo Fan, and asked him to make a deal with the Li family in Jining City. And this only happened because of one young man who was not even 20 years old and even became the youngest warlord. After that, Zuo Fan returned to sparring with Xinjian. This time it's different from the floating step of luminosity skill. He can avoid every Xinjian attack. Even Xinjian admits that they don't deny that the skills that Zuo Fan bought at the auction he will quickly learn and master. Zuo Fan also visited Su Lan, who still hadn't woken up. The doctor said he might wake up in 12 hours, so he would contact Zuo Fan when he woke up, and at this time Zuo Fan would go to the Ghost Rain military base to see Chen San. Zuo Fan was already in front of the military base. He saw that the security at the military base was being tightened more and more. Did anything happen? Chen San greeted him. He didn't expect that Zuo Fan would briefly step into the warlord realm. Chen San seemed to know his father Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan asked why he was invited here. Chen San immediately took him to the restricted area. The deeper into the area, the more guard posts that required inspection. Zuo Fan was fortunate to be able to go in there accompanied by Chen San. It turned out that Chen San escorted them to the place where Zuo Fan's father kept a secret. Zuo Fan has also seen where the safe is. Chen San said this is the reason why he couldn't help Zuo Fan in the tragedy of the Bloody Night. They saw the thousands of alien artifacts stored there. Because Zuo Fan was already in the warlord realm, he had to be informed, and for Jijan, he was an exception. Chen San continued his conversation, and this is very confidential and should not be leaked out. Ghost Rain Mountain was one of the places where meteors fell, and the first monster mutations occurred. Plant mutation starts first, resulting in a high chance of alien artifacts. Military bases increasing security find lots of alien artifacts. Alien artifacts are very useful for warriors. If many people know, it will be very dangerous. Zuo Fan and Jijan were brought here to be asked to help protect him because of the pounding from everywhere, and there was a certain group that turned their eyes here. Zuo Fan and Jijan, who already know that this important task they will join in their protection, are allowed to stay here for 3 hours per day. The effect is to increase strength, and especially today they are allowed 12 hours, hoping that the two of them will get stronger as soon as possible, for fear of dangerous terror sudden. Meanwhile, in a research place, a mysterious person orders to inject the serum into the dying Li Zhong. When he wakes up, the person says their plan can be executed faster. This is their plan to attack the artifact park, which is in the military base, while carrying a dog-headed mouse monster that they made to eat the artifact. Once it is eaten, there must be a lot of monsters that have mutated and gotten stronger, maybe up to the warlord level. And they have the ability to control these monsters. The monsters made them an army. Jijan and Zuo Fan had entered the artifact garden. Only when they entered, Zuo Fan felt his strength increase by 1 sta. Zuo Fan began to meditate to be able to increase his strength. The resulting stats varied depending on the artifact. When he saw his status, Zuo Fan saw if the floating step of luminosity skill there goes up to rank D, but it takes 100 points. Meanwhile, at the mercenary headquarters, Pu Hao still had not found Li Zhong since being defeated by Zuo Fan. Pu Hao sensed that trouble was about to arise, because he knew that there had been a lot of incidents going on, and they were very suspicious. At that time, there was a report from his men. It turns out that they found a monster-attracting device, and it was in the vicinity of Jining City. This tool is usually used during an outbreak so that it can focus the attention of monsters to the first point. But the reports keep appearing. They found a tool that it's the same around Jining City. Let alone the tool looks like it's been used. At that time Rujia came in. He said that Sulan had woken up. Sulan had presented the results of his investigation. There we see the same hooded man and the Li family plotting something with the rat monster. They also believed that it was the Li family who placed the monster lure device. Pu Hao told them to take precautions, and Sulan asked where Zuo Fan was. At that time they remembered the monster charmer's first target was at the military base, and Zuo Fan was currently there. Meanwhile, at the military base, there is a commotion because of a monster that comes from Ghost Rain. On the outskirts of Jining City, you can also see Li Zhong riding a bear. The mercenary begins to gather warriors who can fight to go to the outbreak location. Meanwhile, Sulan seemed to be going to where Zuo Fan was heading to the military base. Zuo Fan, who was meditating, heard an alarm sound. Jijan announced that there was a monster attack. They were surrounded, and the mastermind was Li Zhong. Zuo Fan took this opportunity to head to the safe, and saw that it was empty. Just then, Sulan came and immediately said he had to go to the artifact garden. Because that was Li Zhong's main goal, Zuo Fan still didn't believe that Sulan had taken his father to the flying prison. But Sulan said that otherwise his father would be in danger. At that time, there was a huge monster that came from the rooftop. Zuo Fan easily finished them off. Sulan was very surprised to see how Zuo Fan's strength had grown so fast. There was no time for them to go to the artifact garden that was Li Zhong's target, in Jijan's artifact garden, and warriors held off the monsters. Whatever happened there were also monsters, and Zuo Fan quickly blocked the attacks of the monsters. He had the others block the other flank, and Zuo Fan rushed forward to clear the monsters in one strike. Sulan was so shocked what had happened to the answers so far. Had he eaten something strange? Why was he suddenly so strong? He seemed to not believe it after being told that Zuo Fan had almost killed Li Zhong. Zuo Fan found it easy, even after killing 100 monsters. There were 2 monsters that ambushed him. He was shocked when someone carried a bomb. There was an explosion, but Zuo Fan survived. It turns out that these monsters are monsters who are trained in attack. Zuo Fan quickly slashed at the monster that was preparing to attack him. The huge monster wanted to run away, but Zuo Fan, who was chasing it, quickly parried the surprise attack. There were 3 warlord-level people coming with masks on. There was one who used a flute to control the monsters. Zuo Fan at this time knew that he couldn't fight all 3 at once. He tried to retreat. Despite holding it down, Zuo Fan still received damage, and that person took off his mask, and it was Mu Hanlong from the Mu family. He seemed to want revenge on Zuo Fan, who had killed Mu Jie. Zuo Fan recognized him. But it wasn't Mu Hanhu. It was his brother, Mu Hanlong, whose goal was to kill Zuo Fan, who had killed Mu Jie. Zuo Fan bought time by ridiculing Mu Hanlong, who had the same trait as the family of traitors. The plan worked. Zuo Fan quickly took out a poison bomb that allowed them to escape using masks. Sulan, who didn't have a mask, was given Zuo Fan, and they went straight to the center of the artifact garden, where there was a defense system that could be penetrated if high-level warriors worked together to destroy it. Mu Hanlong, who tried to destroy the defense, was hit by a lot of electricity. He said it was impossible to last long because so many troops were brought. Meanwhile, in other places, they have felt strange and made preparations thanks to that the military base was so sturdy, he resisted the attack of the masked group along with the Special Forces team Captain Fu Zheng. The person in the hood had already expected this, and he was confident he could make his plan work and kill both of them. He said he had 2 backups, and at that moment Li Zhong appeared, who had been mutated like a monster. Both of them withstood attacks from him and managed to inflict wounds on their hands. But thanks to Li Zhong's mutation managed to regenerate his injuries, Fu Jiang did not want to retreat. Likewise, the Chen Sans of the two charged forward. Li Zhong with a loud voice destroyed the place, allowing the monsters outside to enter, and they headed straight for the artifact garden. Back at Artifact Park, Mu Hanlong says their plan is to bring 4 intermediate warlords here, including himself. 3 others will hold Chen San outside. Besides that, Jining City is currently in a state of danger due to the outbreak in Jining City. Currently, there are many battles to contain monsters. All parties help civilians and try to exterminate monsters. Su Lan immediately understood that the Starfall family, especially the Li family and Mu family, had appeared planning to kill all of them who were here or in Jining City as witnesses. Zuo Fan has a brilliant plan. Mu Hanlong, what is this alien artifact garden you want? Asked Zuo Fan to Mu Hanlong, who immediately got angry hearing that. Zuo Fan took the artifact, 1 D-rank artifact. Thanks for the food, and why should I hand these good things over to them, right? They can eat it too. Mu Hanlong was very angry to see that. Everyone present was very surprised to see Zuo Fan casually eating an alien artifact that to him was like an ordinary fruit. Zuo Fan ordered others to eat it as well as Su Lan, who was currently still weak to fight them. Some rank up, some don't, depending on the talent of the person. No matter how much fruit one eats, if there is no effect at all, it's useless. Zuo Fan continued to eat the alien artifact that was the target of the Mu family. He was furious to see how Zuo Fan and the people inside ate the fruit. Zuo Fan's stats were already 300, but not enough to enter an intermediate warlord level. When there was a great vibration, it was Li Zhong who had arrived at the artifact garden. This would be too troublesome given their desperate situation. Li Zhong had the monsters break down the barrier, and it would soon be destroyed. Zuo Fan and the others tried to find a way out because the broken defense system would automatically activate the self-destruct system. At that time, the other warriors found a locked door. Zuo Fan wanted to force it open with Su Lan, but when he stepped forward, the door opened easily, yet touched, and they quickly rushed in. Li Zhong, who had already barged into the artifact garden, heard the sound of the self-destructing system. Zuo Fan's group had already left, and they arrived at the headquarters forest. Not far from here, they should return to assist the military forces. At that time, they heard a sound that saw another horde of monsters. There was a notification that the road to the military headquarters was overrun by monsters. There were also 4 monster charm devices there. Su Lan made a theory whether it was possible that the outbreak in Donghai City was also caused by the Li family. If that was true, Zuo Fan won't let that happen again in Jining City. They were faced with an army of warlord-level monsters. Humans would be nothing against warlord-level monsters. Zuo Fan remembered his father's words that monsters weren't smart. They could be lured easily. Zuo Fan came up with a plan that sounded stupid, but everyone there agreed to carry out the plan because it was the only plan they could come up with at the moment. They headed to the secret military base. They took important objects to support their plans. There were lots of trucks lined up. Jijan said that all of this was prepared in case of an outbreak. Jijan doesn't seem to be coming with Zuo Fan because he has to go back to the military base to help Chen San. Zuo Fan and Su Lan, who wanted to join the group, went to carry out the truck plan, which turned out to be carrying a monster lure device. Zuo Fan's plan was quite easy. He would lure other monsters to fight against the waves of monsters created by the Li family, and it worked. But Zuo Fan felt that these monsters were not enough a lot. There should be stronger D-rank monsters, and he happened to know of one monster who was likely the king of the B-rank monsters. He goes inside to lure out King Eagle Fox, but he is shocked to find that King Eagle Fox has already found him. The Eagle King knew from the scent that Zuo Fan had eaten his treasure before. The Eagle King immediately chased after him with the Eagle troops. Thanks to the 300 stats, Zuo Fan easily escapes, avoiding the Eagle Fox King's laser attack. Zuo Fan, who kept being found, finally realized that King Eagle Fox already knew his scent. He ordered Su Lan, who was outside, to activate the enchantment device, and it succeeded in luring Eagle Fox in another direction. Zuo Fan also soaked himself in skunk liquid to wash away his scent, and headed for the enchantment device outside. When Zuo Fan was about to come out, he saw something shining brightly. Out of curiosity, he went there and was shocked to see what was there, which turned out to be an egg. That egg was the son of the Eagle Fox King, and it didn't take long for Zuo Fan to bring it out. Sulan, who was waiting outside, was immediately distracted by Zuo Fan's body odor. He even told Zuo Fan to sit in the back. Zuo Fan, who was behind, was confused as to what kind of egg it was that might not be an eagle fox egg. Meanwhile, on the front lines of the battle, Chen San and Fu Jiang continued to hold off the large number of monsters while the perpetrators just kept silent. Mu Hanlong arrogantly said that no one would punish them. The hooded person also said that this was not the first time something like this had happened and ordered to kill all of them. Quickly at that time, Jizhan, who had arrived there, said for the troops to retreat immediately. The monsters from Ghost Rain Mountain had arrived. The hooded people immediately realized that someone was using a similar plan to lure the mountain monsters from Ghost Rain here. Jizhan came to Chen San and asked him to retreat immediately. Let them fight with the monster. The frontline troops managed to retreat to a safe place, and Chen San praised Jizhan, but Jizhan had already told that all of these plans were made by Zuo Fan, praising Zuo Fan, who mostly surpassed his father before. Meanwhile, Zuo Fan, who was on top of the cliff, was looking at his handiwork. He couldn't wait to finish off Mu Hanlong. The plan that the Li family and Mu family had originally worked out fell apart because of one person. The Li and Mu families were dealing with the monsters that Zuo Fan had lured there. They had to defeat the monsters to escape. Sulan was ready to kill some monsters using his sniper rifle, but he was stopped by Zuo Fan, who said that their main weapon had arrived, and who else but the Eagle Fox King and his troops were already on their way. Mu Hanlong and his army had already escaped from the monster's siege, and Li Zhong was still looking for where Zuo Fan was. At that time they saw the Eagle Fox King, who was already above them. Mercilessly shooting lasers, they were able to dodge the attack, and they knew that the Eagle Fox King was a B-rank monster. They faced the attack of the flying-type King Eagle Fox. The flying-type monsters had super vision that can add damage to their attacks. One person there blocked the Eagle Fox King's other lasers while the others tried to attack in unison. Zuo Fan was very happy to see that. He came forward to tell them who was being hunted now. He ordered Sulan to prepare to shoot. Zuo Fan was worried about that person, Xiao Cheng. He was the one who could control monsters with his flute. He could temporarily stop the Eagle Fox King, and thanks to that, their attacks were able to hit him. They tried to control the Eagle Fox King, who was very angry with the sound of the flute. Xiao, who was focused on control, was shocked when a shot shattered his flute, and there was one additional shot that went through his head and killed him instantly. Mu Hanlong got angrier seeing that, and it came from Sulan swiftly hitting Xiao Cheng. After Xiao Cheng, who was excavating the monsters, died, surely the monsters he controlled were free, and they were going on a rampage. The identities of the prey and the hunter have now been swapped. The situation has reversed. The Mu Hanlong is now the prey. He was angry that Xiao Cheng died without protection. Mu Hanlong told them to calm down and have to break through the monsters, and there was no point in fighting each other. The Eagle Fox King charged at them, and Sulan shot accurately, but was parried by Mu Hanlong. After parrying it, he couldn't avoid the Eagle Fox King's attack. Zuo Fan said that it was only natural that Mu Hanlong was an intermediate warlord, but the Eagle Fox King's attack must have an impact. Meanwhile, Zuo Fan's location was already known to Li Zhong, and he casually greeted him by saying that he was happy to meet you. Zuo Fan taunted them, while the Eagle Fox King continued to attack Mu Hanlong. Zuo Fan was there to share their power by angering Li Zhong, and it worked. Li Zhong, who had a grudge against Zuo Fan, was furious and chased Zuo Fan to the place where Zuo Fan lured him. Li Zhong quickly attacked him, but it was dodged by Zuo Fan, who taunted him. Li Zhong attacked him again, but Zuo Fan was able to hold him back, both of them mocking each other's strength. Li Zhong slightly offended Zuo Fan's father, who was inflexible that year, but when Zuo Fan asked what happened that year, Li Zhong didn't tell him because he didn't think Zuo Fan deserved to hear it. Li Zhong advanced to attack him likewise with Zuo Fan, who used all of his strongest skills. Blast off! Zuo Fan's strong attack managed to penetrate the body of Li Zhong's beast mount, and at the same time delivered a crushing blow to Li Zhong. Even if you use evil means to increase strength, it is still not yours. The dying Li Zhong regrets letting Zuo Fan live. Zuo Fan asked what happened back then, when his father was accused of treason. Li Zhong said it was better for Zuo Fan not to know. He didn't know how terrifying the enemy he would face. If they find you, you won't last long. Zuo Fan already knew that there must be a lot of influential people in China behind him. Li Zhong died, and after that Su Lan came while warning Zuo Fan, who easily slashed the monsters that attacked him to death. From Su Lan's narrative, Li Zhong was certain to die following his son in hell. Zuo Fan knew Li Zhong was indeed strong, but he was confident that he could kill him in one strike. And now it was Mu Hanlong's turn to look deep in thought against the group of monsters. The Mu Hanlong group also realized that Li Zhong was dead because the rats controlled by Li Zhong started attacking them. Likewise with the military troops who saw an opportunity, Chen San ordered them to use full weapons and attack the Mu family to regain control of the military base. The counterattack has fallen. The Mu Hanlong family is increasingly cornered. One person carrying an axe was killed instantly by the shots from the hooded group. They are running away, and are even ready to sacrifice their own comrades to be able to escape. Chen San wouldn't let them escape and ordered to follow where the Eagle Fox King went for following them to escape. Zuo Fan, who saw that, also already knew where Mu Hanlong had run, and he was already in front of Mu Hanlong's face, who was trying to run away. Mu Hanlong was so angry. Just because of this one youngster, all his plans failed. Zuo Fan was confident that he could kill Mu Hanlong, who was already injured and exhausted. Zuo Fan immediately attacked him. Mu Hanlong slyly threw several grenades which hit the place where Zuo Fan ran, but Zuo Fan managed to dodge and directly attacked Mu Hanlong's thigh. You think I won't know how you and your brother fight? Zuo Fan already knew the ins and outs of the military base, and he could easily find a way to evade it. Mu Hanlong was very amazed by Zuo Fan's abilities and had to kill him now. Zuo Fan wanted to end Mu Hanlong's life immediately, but he begged not to kill him in exchange for he would put Zuo Fan into the Mu family, because there was Mu Yinyue, who Zuo Fan saved first. Zuo Fan just laughed. You think I'm a kid? Zuo Fan already knew that the Mu Hanlong family and Mu Yinyue family were rivals. From that chat, Mu Hanlong saw an opportunity and immediately attacked Zuo Fan. But Zuo Fan was able to avoid his attack and immediately activated his sword to fight back. But Mu's defense and strength were really strong. Even when here he was injured after leveling up to the intermediate warlord, one's attributes would change, and this Mu Hanlong was strong among the warriors of the intermediate warlord. At that moment, Zuo Fan's sword pierced Mu Hanlong's shield and couldn't be released. Mu Hanlong took out a crossbow and shot an arrow at Zuo Fan. Zuo Fan was able to dodge and tied Mu Hanlong's legs with the monster's reins. Those who always cheat will be fooled by others. Zuo Fan charged forward and slashed him and stabbed Mu Hanlong's body to death. Zuo Fan wins. For the injured person, Mu Hanlong is strong enough. Even in a dying state, Mu Hanlong can still threaten Zuo Fan with the nonsense of the Mu family that will kill him. Other people also said that before dying, why don't you say something useful, or maybe repent before dead? Zuo Fan, who was there, saw something great. It was that there were two people holding the Eagle Fox King. The Eagle Fox King attacked with his lasers, but both of them were able to directly block the attack. Zuo Fan saw the two of them flying, which means they are at the advanced warlord level. When a soldier's stats are over 700, they will become an advanced warlord. Their strength is extraordinary, and one of the signs is that they have the ability to fly. The Eagle Fox King attacked, but this time it was stronger, knocking them both down. Zuo Fan saw that, and was sure that the two of them weren't an advanced warlord yet, but they were approaching to enter the advanced warlord realm, one person carrying a spear, the other two discs. The two discs were directly thrown through King Eagle Fox's wings and made King Eagle Fox retreat. The one wielding the disc is the commander telling them to repent, but the one wielding the spear shamelessly wants Commander Ding to let them go. Commander Ding was furious to hear that and attacked him, but his attacks were easily parried. The man said that if they continued fighting, they would be seriously injured. He said he was not the mastermind and just the executor. He promised he would leave Jining City immediately. With many enemies in Jining City, it would be easier to let them go. Hearing that Commander Ding made a quick decision, he told them to leave. And if they saw in the city, Jining Commander Ding will mobilize all military power to bring them to justice. The Zuo Fan that the person passed by was silent as he stared at her with a stifling aura. Zuo Fan still couldn't accept that the men were just being let go, while Su Lan was there telling him that Commander Ding could beat them, but it would take effort, and would definitely hurt him too. If Commander Ding is injured, Jining City will definitely be in chaos. Those people were very dangerous and they had to be careful in their actions. Zuo Fan understood that, and Commander Ding, who sensed their presence, told them to appear immediately. Commander Ding himself, real name is Ding Ling. He praised Zuo Fan temporarily because the timing was bad. He ordered the military troops to immediately take care of the outbreak that occurred in the city, and they all went straight to the city. Likewise, Zuo Fan was currently worried about Pu Pan and the other guild members who were in the city because the city's condition was so chaotic and dire. He took a phone that informed the conditions there with Su Lan heading to the city. When Zuo Fan arrived and saw the hordes of monsters attacking one place, inside was Ru Jie, who was giving first aid to the injured soldier, and he was separating the people inside who were blaming each other. Pu Pan was also there. He saw Ru Jie, who was so angry for the first time. Monsters had started to enter Xinjiang, and Chu Feng, who was the protector, was already surrounded, and there was one monster that attacked Ru Jie. At that time, there was a single arrow that directly penetrated the monster's body. The arrow was so strong that even people at the warlord level found it difficult to use it. Zuo Fan, who had not been able to enter, said to Su Lan that he could save Ru Jie. Zuo Fan and Su Lan went straight inside to save the civilians. Zuo Fan had already arrived there. They were very happy to see Zuo Fan, who had arrived. Zuo Fan ordered them to quickly kill the monsters and bring the civilians to safety. Even outside the military, they had started to deal with the monsters that had spread out. Thanks to Zuo Fan, they were able to summon help. Everyone there was rescued. The military colonel greeted Zuo Fan like his superior. Even Commander Ding Ling asked Zuo Fan after this to meet him. They were surprised by everything that happened. What was done while at the outbreak military base had been conquered, but the damage to Jining City was so severe. Zuo Fan, who had been having a hard day, fell unconscious, and he woke up in his house, and there was Su Lan, who had taken care of him while he was unconscious. In the dining room, Zuo Fan saw the news that Jining City had conquered outbreak. Zuo Fan fainted only from exhaustion and the effect of eating too many artifacts. 3 days he fainted, and at that time his status increased. The news also said that the Li family was the victim, not the perpetrator. Zuo Fan was furious to hear such ridiculous news. Su Lan said that this order was conveyed by the capital's higher-ups. Zuo Fan finally knew how dangerous the people he would fight in the future would be. The outbreak carried out by the Li family and Mu family in Jining City has been completed. The search for victims continues, including the Li family, who are actually the main perpetrators. The news told everyone that they were victims and not perpetrators. Zuo Fan couldn't accept it. Hearing that Commander Ding and Pu Hao didn't even clarify it, if they did that, they would also be in danger. It was also the case with Zuo Fan's father. The people behind the scenes who commanded them were too much influence in the country of China. Even military commanders were able to protect Zuo Fan's father in secret by being transferred to the Sky Prison. Zuo Fan was grateful for the effort, because otherwise his father might have been killed. Su Lan told him not to worry about Zuo Fan and to be careful with those people. Zuo Fan will confidently become strong to be able to avenge the people who made him suffer. Su Lan left after saying that Zuo Fan's things were in the next room. Zuo Fan stood up and remembered the things went straight to the next room. He saw the eggs were healthy. Zuo Fan was still wondering what was in the egg. Was it an eagle fox or some other animal? While curiously, Zuo Fan tapped on the egg, and unexpectedly it hatched. He was very confused by its contents. The beast was like a small dog with long ears and green eyes. Zuo Fan finally took the dog to the animal hospital, and Zuo Fan was still sure that this was a monster child. But the doctor said that this was just a small dog, and luckily, it was brought here quickly. If it was even a little late, this dog could die. Zuo Fan still doubted that the dog came out of the egg and was closely guarded by the Eagle Fox King. It couldn't just be a small dog. Zuo Fan told the doctor that he found the dog and brought it here immediately. Zuo Fan, knowing where Zuo Fan was, Ru Jie and Pu Pan went there. They saw that there was a cute dog belonging to Zuo Fan, asked this dog's name. Zuo Fan, with bad reasons, said his name was Little Gray. After seeing that Little Gray had gotten better, Zuo Fan took him home. He wouldn't let an ordinary person take care of him. A few days later, Zuo Fan was picked up by Pu Pan and Xinjian, who said that Commander Ding Ling had called Pu Hao to invite Zuo Fan to his place. Zuo Fan was very curious as to why Commander Ding wanted to see him so badly. Arriving at the military headquarters, they were greeted by Chen San, who was still injured. Zuo Fan was told that Commander Ding wanted to speak alone with him, and the others were a little disappointed, because they also wanted to see Commander Ding Ling. A year ago, Commander Ding had already reached the intermediate warlord boundary, and was one step closer to advance warlord. Thanks to the military commander Ding in Jining City, suppressed the other side's power. Xinjiang wonders why only Zuo Fan was summoned. Chen San reassures him maybe the commander has his own plans. Arriving at Commander Ding's room, Zuo Fan was greeted coldly by Commander Ding, who he said had been waiting for him for a long time. Zuo Fan asked why want to see him so formally, and Commander Ding emphasized that there were people above who were pressuring him to get rid of Zuo Fan immediately. Hearing that, Zuo Fan's instinct immediately alerted. He asked if it was true that the commander was cooperating with them. He was surprised that Commander Ding answered by attacking Zuo Fan while mentioning the word death to him. Zuo Fan could only endure it, and even then he was thrown out of the room, feeling that the commander was too strong to resist. Zuo Fan chose to run away, but Commander Ding had already predicted it. He was already in front of Zuo Fan, and attacked Zuo Fan with his disc. Zuo Fan stood up. He did not expect that the Commander Ding he respected was actually a criminal. Commander Ding regretted that the talented Zuo Fan had to die here. Zuo Fan was too young to understand the true reality of this world. It is the strong who survive in the world. Commander Ding didn't want to waste his time. He activated his gun and threw it at Zuo Fan, who dodged the powerful attack, and he barely managed to dodge it. The floating step of luminosity skill requires a lot of energy. He must be able to escape quickly. Seeing how Zuo Fan is currently cornered, Commander Ding admires him. Even though he is in a state between life and death, he continues to find a way to live. It reminds him to stay away from Zuo's father, Fan. He was testing how long Zuo Fan could last. Zuo Fan continued to fend off successive attacks. From Commander Ding to the system giving suggestions for upgrading the floating step of luminosity skill to rank C, he didn't have to wait long because Zuo Fan's life was at stake to increase the skill. The improvement is quite good. The speed can increase by 50%. With his current speed, Zuo Fan immediately fled to the roof. Commander Ding was amazed to see Zuo Fan, who kept his strength. Zuo Fan, who was on the roof and about to escape, was stopped because in front of him was a trap. Commander Ding praised Zuo Fan because not only did he not give up, but Zuo Fan even found a gap to escape. He said that Zuo Fan met the qualifications. Zuo Fan, who was stuck, calmed himself down. He had to go out and meet Xinjian and expose Commander Ding's crimes. But just then, Commander Ding's voice told him to get off quickly because the test was over. Zuo Fan was shocked to hear the word test. At that time, he fell right in front of Commander Ding. He was confused. Why did this office have such a troublesome mechanism? Commander Ding told him to stop and sit down to rest, but he still didn't believe Commander Ding. Saw how suspicious Zuo Fan was giving him a letter and a photo. In the photo you can see that there are 4 people from the left. Commander Ding is crying. The letter contains sentences before his father's trouble happened. There is a pen note asking Commander Ding Ling to test Zuo Fan. If Zuo Fan fails the test, don't let Zuo Fan get into trouble. But before Commander Ding could continue his story, he told Zuo Fan to treat his wound first. Zuo Fan tended to his own wound and covered the wound with bandages. He was still in pain after taking Commander Ding's attack on purpose, because Zuo Fan's father asked him to seriously test him. Zuo Fan didn't expect that Commander Ding was his father's school friend. Commander said it was normal. Your mother also took part in building the security system in this office and the defense system in the military base. That explains why the door in the artifact garden opened by itself when Zuo Fan was in. In front of him, the commander mentioned that Zuo Fan himself did not know that his mother was skilled in technology. Meanwhile, because Zuo Fan has passed the test, Zuo Fan must understand the journey to reveal the truth behind his father's incident. Zuo Fan must enter the whirlpool from which it is impossible to get out. the enemies are not only intermediate warlords, there are also advanced warlords, and even powerful war gods. Powerful war god itself is a group of people who stand above all starfall warriors. Commander Ding asked if Zuo Fan was ready to meet them. "Are you ready to die?" Zuo Fan said that he was never afraid of death. After the incident in Jining City, he would not back down. Commander Ding praised his answer. Zuo Fan even passed with top marks. If you want to get involved in this matter, Zuo Fan must pass the test with maximum marks. Commander Ding gave him an iron box that Zuo Fan's father had hidden in the military base's safe, an item that Zuo Fan thought was missing because it was no longer there. The commander says he has to take it, otherwise it will be destroyed by those who have been watching the military base for a long time. Inside are clues without any real evidence. Inside are a round mirror and a letter. Zuo Fan read the letter, which turned out to be about S City, which was originally just an ordinary city, and now has become the biggest monster nest in Asia. S City's destruction became a high-ranking failure in China because S City used to be the strongest line of defense, but was now a den of monsters. And because of that incident, Zuo Hui was made a scapegoat and was sentenced to harsh punishment. With his great accomplishments, Zuo Hui shouldn't be punished so severely, but the destruction of Big S City made him severely punished, and the evidence Zuo Hui left behind was in S City. Commander Ding has been told, "Where is that place?" But that place was designed Zuo Fan's mother, and only Zuo Fan that can unlock it. Commander Ding's excuse just now was to test Zuo Fan. Whether he could enter the dangerous S City, Zuo Fan understood. In order to prove his father's innocence, he had decided to go to S City. Commander Ding accepted him and told Zuo Fan to prepare to leave for S City. Zuo Fan was also ordered to conceal or disguise his departure, and that would be taken care of by Commander Ding. Zuo Fan was very grateful to Commander Ding and went to get ready. After Zuo Fan left, he saw Chen San, who was in Commander Ding's room. Commander Ding's test just now was very harsh, but he had no other choice. He actually didn't want Zuo Fan to go to S City, but only Zuo Fan could open that place. As Zuo Fan's father's schoolmates, they could only support and nurture him. Zuo Fan is already preparing to go to S City. While meditating, his stats are increasing. All the effects of the alien artifacts have been absorbed by his stats. At this time, he must be careful. When he enters S City within 1 month, he will stay in S City and immediately return to Jining City. Zuo Fan planned to go out for the night before. He had already told Ru Jie and the others that he would be doing meditation in private. A reasonable enough reason. After he ate a lot of alien artifacts, and they also believed Zuo Fan's reasoning. Zuo Fan, who was about to leave soon, was shocked when Little Gray approached him. Zuo Fan originally wanted Little Gray to be treated at the military base, but somehow managed to get out and be with him, as if he wanted to be with Zuo Fan wherever Zuo Fan went. Zuo Fan even felt that Little Gray knew what he was talking about. Knowing Little Gray's wish to come to S City, Zuo Fan also took him along. Little Gray was very happy and got into the collar. Zuo Fan had jumped away before morning without anyone noticing. Zuo Fan had to get out of Jining City immediately. He went to a place where the military accommodated him on a motorbike. "Jining City goodbye for now," said Zuo Fan, who then went to S City to retrieve the evidence his father left behind, along with Little Gray accompanying him. There was a very loud scream from all over. Everyone shouted the same thing, namely the name Seo Munyob. There was not a single person who did not rejoice at the return of the hero. With cool looks, Seo Munyob and Baek Jae-ho got out of the limousine. The two of them happily walked the red carpet, and the audience who kept screaming made Baek Jae-ho wonder, why do people keep on boasting about this guy? But suddenly, from the front, a group of journalists came towards them. Lazy to be trapped by a group of reporters who wanted to do an interview, Baek Jae-ho quickly pushed Seo Munyob and left using teleportation. He handed over the reporters to Seo Munyob. The reporters immediately bombarded him, starting from asking the reason why he beat Simon's foundation. Doesn't he feel guilty attacking many people like that? How is it currently? How will you deal with this game theory? Miss Saran, who is a member of the other 7 heroes, has arrived in Korea. How do you feel after finally meeting her again after 17 years past? Seo Munyob was very annoyed because Baek Jae-ho even left himself as bait. However, there was one question that made Seo Munyob somewhat curious, namely Saran's arrival in Korea. Wait a minute. Did you say Saran? Is he coming? The reporter answered his question. Yes. Miss Saran has arrived in Korea today. She said that she came here to watch the game, and she said that she wanted to meet a child she knows who will be in the game this time. All are shocked to hear that. Seo Munyob then said, wait, that kid? Is he talking about me? A few moments finally passed. When Seo Munyob entered the room where the players who were going to participate in Series 3 gathered, the players there immediately started talking about it. They didn't expect to see the real hero Seo Munyob firsthand, whereas at the time before they only saw the statue. Do they wonder how great he is? But Seo Munyob ignored all of that. He went straight to his colleague. He asked, Hey Baek Jae-ho, did you hear that Saran came to Korea? Baek Jae-ho with a straight face said, So he came here, huh? Hyeon suddenly appeared behind Baek Jae-ho, and he happily asked, Is he going to Korea? Baek Jae-ho, who held Seo's shoulder with a sigh, then said, My friend, be careful for now. Carry a shield wherever you go. Nervously and a little desperate, she said, I did treat her badly last time. Baek Jae-ho replied that he said it mercilessly at that time, even to the point where he burst into tears, even though he didn't understand Korean. Seo Munyob said, But if it comes to revenge? After all this time, it shouldn't be possible, right? Baek Jae-ho replied, Who knows if you two have spent 17 years together, maybe time will heal his wounds and he will forget about it. But you're still the same person who called it that time. But remembering the past at the peak of that era 17 years ago, this superhero from China named Saran was a superhuman who was chosen as one of the 7 heroes who took part in the attack on the final dungeon. The only child of a wealthy family who has an extraordinary superpower. She was kept under strict guard by her government and grew up to be a queen. But the 17-year-old woman is one of the humans that Seo Munyob hates so much. He always scolded her, annoyed, and then scolded her again and again and again. He scolded with all the toxic sentences from the most toxic. All bowed down listlessly, remembering it all. Jae-ho and Hyeon shook their heads. Hyeon said, Uncle, I pray for your soul to rest in peace. It looks like you will get your second funeral. Baek Jae-ho said, Well, whatever it is, we'll think about it later. We have something more important than that. Baek Jae-ho immediately shouted to attract the attention of all the players who were there. He said, Even though you all already know how the strategy will work because we have a player who is playing this battle game for the first time, I will explain how to play a charity game. The game will be divided into 2 teams, namely the work team and the hoax team. As you know, the members of the work team are national representatives, and the members of the home team are players who are selected among ordinary players, with exceptions. But instead, I'm national team representative head coach Baek Jae-ho to join Hope's team as a player in the Milla position, along with Seo Munyob in the tank position. But I'm a little nervous because I haven't held a weapon in a long time, so please help. The players there immediately welcomed Baek Jae-ho, and everyone thought, even though it's been a long time, Baek Jae-ho is still much better than all of them. If with a very high start like that, Baek Jae-ho and Hyeon will be able to finish off all their enemies. But activated his ice of analysis skill and looked at the state of all the players in front of him. As he expected, the rest weren't as great as he thought. But his attention is focused on a player whose stats are above average, who also has skills and focus that can quickly post aura into weapons, as well as the strange ability skill where aura always protects the body from being easily injured by the impact of external attacks. The track limit is also up to 90. If the player is well developed, he can become a great tank. Everyone immediately called the player. The player introduced himself. His name was Choi Hyuk, and everyone answered, Oh yeah? Huh, did I hear wrong? If you're a melee dealer? He replied, That's right, sir. I'm a manager from the Samsung Spiritus team. But he asked, Hey, aren't you a tank? He replied again, Yes, sir. When I was little, I wanted to be a tank like you, but because my body was too small. Finally, I became a dealer, my superpower. I can focus aura into weapons and attack using thinking. Even after raising durability, he still hasn't realized it yet. That's why he became a dealer instead? It was clear that his coach had put him in the wrong position. After only seeing his appearance, he immediately ordered Hyeon to look for a shield after everyone returned, and told Choi Hyuk to try using the shield. Everyone explained we didn't have much time, so I'll just explain the basics. Hear this. Position the shield in front of your left chest, and simply move your body in this position, forward to attack, and then back behind the shield to hide, forward and back. Okay? Answer, but I am a dealer, sir. Seo Munyub stressed you dare to go against me, huh? Just do what you're told. So Hyuk could not help but accept the shield. The players there started to make strange assumptions. They did hear that being arrogant was a little crazy, but they didn't expect it to be this crazy. He suddenly changed the position of someone he was meeting for the first time. Is it fine if they team up with him? So Hyuk tries to ask the coach for help, but he can't help him. Turning away from Choi Hyuk, who was making a code asking for help from him, he said, "All right then, 4 tanks, 6 dealers, and 1 support." With that, even the chords ignored him. Because the position was fixed, they also put on the equipment. All of them who had put on the equipment said, "Oh, this is light." Baek Jae-ho said, "Even though it's light, it's as sturdy as the armor we used during the war. Does it feel good?" All answered he was comfortable. "But are you okay?" "Your expression says otherwise." He said it was because I was a little clumsy. I didn't expect to wear this uniform at all. "Ah, don't worry about the gun. They say they have prepared the weapons you are used to with some small changes. Everyone checked the spears, but said the hem lengthened and shortened quite nicely. Looks like they got it right," he said. "I heard they were meticulous about it. In the end, isn't it a weapon full of history because it has saved the world?" But he replied, "Oh my God, even though it was still not a year since this weapon was made." He continues, "Please don't let your guard down. Yes, I know you're strong, but the ones you fought against were monsters or Wonderwall, whereas these guys were trained to fight humans. Although their abilities were a bit lacking compared to other countries, their experience was not lacking. They must have more experience fighting humans than the rest of us." Smiling at the statement from Baek Jae-ho, he then said, "Yes, I will remember that, coach. Fine, let's go. We have to defeat that seasoned junior you spoke of." The spectators in the area were already very excited to replace the game that day. In the hallway before entering the arena, everyone checked when the players who were going to participate took place. He realized that they were made as national representatives, not without reason. The team's average score is around 70 compared to the team's average score. Tim Hope is only around 60, better than Tim Hope on paper. But this is quite interesting. How could none of them have a certain specialty? "They are all the same," he whispered to Baek Jae-ho. "Oi, Baek Jae-ho, when you choose a prayer. Do you judge them or something?" He replied, "Usually we score them based on several factors and use the sum of their scores. To choose it all, think I know it because the method uses the sum of the scores. So people with certain specialties can't enter." When everyone looked at the other players, someone shot back at him. He thought, "What's with that person overall? It's not that bad, but the tower limit is 60, but he only has 26. That kid also grew up in a family and was always pampered. He must be useless in the real world." Realizing himself being stared at by all the players, the one named Shin Young-so said, "What are you looking at, old man?" Seo Munyub replied, "Huh, did you just talk to me?" The player says, "Yes, you old man." Player looked at everyone cynically. He thought Seo Munyub was like the time in Image Korea versus America. Fossil base from the Underworld War era. He ended up not even knowing much about the battlefield. Everyone asked to switch places briefly with the player behind him to make it easier to chat with the boy. After standing side by side with him, Seo Munyub asked, "Who are you? It seems you have a complaint with the player." He replied sarcastically, "Of course. I have many complaints about you. You also acted arbitrarily during the image at that time. If you look yawning because you act pretentious even though you've never played battle." He laughed at what he said. The player got annoyed because he was laughed at. He said, "What's so funny, huh?" Before the sim player could say his sentence, someone cut him off and said, "Hey, what does your father do?" Player still answered, "Huh, he's the vice president of the association. He says I thought you were?" Their conversation was interrupted by a notification ordering slot players to immediately enter the stadium where the match was taking place. Heard the notification, same said, "They told us to come in." The boy's Sultan player replied, Wait, why are you talking about wealth and stuff like that, and why did I ask me about my father?" He said, "Well, I was just wondering what your father did to raise a clueless kid like you. As you know, I grew up in pretty harsh conditions, so I hate trash like you who grew up with a spoiled mentality. But thanks to you, I got excited to play Battlefield. Geez, you will die by my hands." He pointed his middle finger at the player who was looking at him strangely. A few moments passed, the players entered the arena, and the audience cheered again, shouting the player's name. When Seo Munyob entered the arena, the moment everyone had been waiting for finally arrived. Seo Munyob finally stood on the battlefield as a player, even though this is just a charity game, but they all couldn't find a more interesting match than this. We can see lots of battlefield celebrities among the audience. Thus, the first set, so the game series begins. Now the pill for the first game consists of 3 circles and has a secret path in the middle that leads to a dungeon area. The monsters that will appear are Arkham and the National Representative server currently loaded, and the team has heroes from 17 years ago. 10 minutes ago, Baek Jae-ho explained the strategy they would use. First, the starting point for this match is Area 5 for their team, the Hope Team, and Area 1 for the Love Team opposite each other. Hope Team will hunt in Area 5, 1, then move to Area 5, 2. The main troop will continue there to continue hunting, while Seo Munyob will move to Areas 5, 3, and hunt the boss from Area 5 alone, because of that area boss. After killing him, the whole of Area 5 will be chaotic, so we need to match the time with hunting in Area 5. Others answered, okay, that's easy. But other players even questioned Seo Munyob's power to kill the servant alone. Shouldn't there be 5 people to be able to defeat him? Even strong teams should put 3 people on it. Baek Jae-ho continued his strategy. After that, their team would clear Area 6 and go towards the deeper circle. At that time, their team might meet with the enemy team, but if that happens, Baek Jae-ho and Seo Munyob and also Baek Jae-ho will try to hold them back. If it was just a small-scale battle, the strength of the 3 of them was superior, so the 3 of them would be able to defeat the enemy team. But everyone thought differently. According to him, their team would be able to win if it was 11 or 11 straight from the start. But we'll take advantage of this opportunity to better understand the battlefield and not be too hasty in the first mage. The Hope Team has entered the store area 5.1 point. Baek Jae-ho immediately ordered all of his units to head to their respective positions. Main dealer behind both Hyeon, advanced dealer and tank, and a player forced to become a tank, Choi Hyuk. They immediately started the hunt. On the other hand, at the starting point, the team loves Area 1, 1. Team leader Lok Hyun is coordinating his team to hunt arsenic monsters, but his team member Young-soo's team, who is the dealer player of Team Love, is annoyed listening to his directions. Player Shim looks irritated with Seo Munyob's previous provocation. He forgot his annoyance by attacking mode with blind pigs. Everyone immediately invited Baek Jae-ho to do a wombo combo with him. They were extraordinary arsenic monsters that were hard to beat because their sheer numbers could be overcome instantly with just the 2 of them. The audience was immediately excited to see the 2 of them. After cleaning up the monsters on the ceiling, Seo Munyob and Baek Jae-ho immediately cleaned up the molluscus in front of them, who were forced into the match technique. He was stunned by everyone's incredible movement. He knew that the monster art had relatively low HP, and it was fine that you couldn't break through its intense scorching, but how could he seal it so easily to death? Suddenly realizing that everyone must be using his superpower, player Choi doesn't want to stay silent. It positions itself as described by all before. He also uses his superpower, Aura Focused, because it was her first time using a shield, and she was still not used to it, so he just stabbed Aura into his weapon. As usual, he can't just use Aura to focus on his sword, but he also has to use it as a shield too. Player Choi immediately fights like that when attacking and defending. The focus must be on his weapon. All who saw it thought, oh, he has grown quite a lot in such a short time. Everyone smiled and said, good, good. I also cannot continue to relax. But continuing his hunt, he showed his extraordinary technique. Using one of his techniques, the Moro brothers, who saw that in the audience, were immediately excited. They both said in unison, oh, that technique. That's the mainstay technique of all 100 centimeters. With Saran sitting beside them, confirming that, Saran thought 100 centimeters row even though it just looks like a normal stab using a spear. But in reality, it is a technique that uses his superpower throw. By using throw, the spear will fly instantly at super speed towards the target before the spear could leave his hand, which meant before it flew to 100 centimeters, he picked up the spear again. It created an unbelievably fast thrust. It had far more destructive power than just using normal muscles. Even so, when using a crazy technique while retrieving a bird that was just shot. His reaction was so casual that most people would think he was just stabbing normally. A technique that you shouldn't fail even once in throwing the spear and picking it up again, because he was used to doing it in a real fight as easily as breathing. 17 years ago and now Seo Munyob. You really suck. The series that attacked him suddenly from behind all easily killed him. She says, dare you, I have to clean it fast and go somewhere else soon. With that, Area 51 is done, the team cleans up, after all Hope team members gather. Baek Jae-ho said, great job everyone. Then we'll head to Area 52 and everything even soon. He still just realized that all was not there. Player said he immediately ran away after we finished with the monsters just now. He said he would go clean up Area 53 as planned. Quickly follow me, Majin sighed. He said, okay, if everyone has decided so, then that's for the best. Even though he looks impulsive, but he is the type of person who thinks before he acts. All right, we will now go to Area 52, and the Hope team continues as they planned. We move on to Area 5-3 where everyone is facing the mouse boss. All said, what's up, it's been a while, huh? Ha, it feels like just yesterday I attacked you, all focused. He prepared to attack his boss monster. When the absorption monsters attack him, all slide under him. When right under him, all lit him with his spear. A few moments passed when members of his Hopeland team arrived at Area 5-3. Seo Munyob, who was sitting on a pile of serpents, said, oh, you guys here, I thought it would take you a bit longer. Of course, all who saw this were very surprised to see it. He really could kill the boss monster serpent alone. From what I see in the image, the system makes you stronger through the points you get from killing monsters or other players. You should at least understand that in order to play the game properly, then you can start clearing this area yourself. Baek Jae-ho and Hyeon come with me. Seo Munyob got down from the corpse and walked over to Baek Jae-ho and Hyeon. He says I have a pretty good plan? After handing over the bodies to the main force, Seo Munyob, Baek Jae-ho and Hyeon started moving towards the team's hunting area, because the others would probably notice their ambush if the three were hunting monsters on the way. They seemed to be taking a detour in order to fight strategic monsters. Maybe when everyone was hunting for the serpent monster. Earlier he almost killed him even though he only hit him once. Even though Battle has a hunting point system, the team's overall point count shouldn't be that high because his team has only killed a few advanced monsters. The actual aura color is blue, which is the first stage, so 5th, the aura stage then. What is the effect of 110 willpower? As everyone had expected before, in the middle of his journey, Baek Jae-ho said, Moon will do it if he doesn't give orders after saying that if you have a plan, we will definitely meet the enemy team soon. All right, I just remembered, Baek Jae-ho said. You are. Then he replied, when it comes to plans, I just thought about it after meeting a boy who looked like Suran on the enemy team. He has superpower. Not bad, but mentally ugly. It seems he is also the son of the Sultan. Of course, there is no guarantee that the Sultan's child will be the opponent of the group we will meet. So if he's not there, I'll monitor the situation again, then give you guys orders. But if he was there, just see what will happen. On the other hand, in Area 1-2, the team's current position, they just got to know him and stopped hunting him. They intend to proceed to the next area. Shim Hyung-so looks impatient to face everything soon. But when he lost because he had gotten that much aura with a monster's mouth, suddenly a spear attack shot and aimed at him. Luckily, another screen noticed the attack and slightly defended it with its shield. Even so, the spear still managed to scratch his face. The sim player immediately realized that the spear must have been an enemy attack and notified the other team members. Another strike team group of 6 people who were in the area one by one. They were all surprised to hear the news that the other group besides being attacked by enemies as well. CEO's appearance there, before the group decided to help the other group. Suddenly the Hope team consisting of 8 people appeared to confront them. A while ago before CEO, Baek Jae-ho and Hyeon left, CEO ordered them all after handling the serpent. You will attack the enemy team on the opposite route from the team because you will fight the national representative. Of course it won't be easy, but you have to fight to the death, because Team A uses to solve it quickly and immediately help you guys. Now Team Hope's main team is holding back the second team. There was tension between them. Seo Munyob and Jae-ho, who will be back using their combos, all said, "Oh, he can fend it off even though I hit him hard enough," he replied. Don't lie, I saw it clearly that I deliberately missed him, while directly attacking the children without mercy. From the start, it was not the act of an adult. No then, goodbye. If you knew that it would be embarrassing if you were to die. Baek Jae-ho was annoyed because Seo kept on babbling. He said, just throw it around. Seo was able to bring the strength to throw Baek Jae-ho, and Baek Jae-ho immediately shot in front of the love team captain. Girl immediately gives orders to her team, now change position to 5, 6, 5 people will go to Area 9 and 6 people will go to Area 11. Everyone go. The love team, which has 5 members in Area 9, Shim Kyung-so, who is in the love team which uses 5 people, thinks well thanks to collecting hunting points in this hunt. Her aura had already become a purple color. Seo was ready to attach back his spear which he had got back. After focusing himself, but immediately threw his spear following Baek Jae-ho, who had already gone first. The love team of 5 people immediately noticed the attack. They thought the attack was targeting the Shim and immediately set up a defensive position protecting the Shim. However, they thought wrongly. When right in front of Shim, Baek Jae-ho teleported and attacked the heavy tanker by his side. Another member of the love team immediately intended to kill Baek Jae-ho, who was near him. But unfortunately, the man was killed by Seo Moon-yeob's spear. The remaining love team players were shocked by the combo attacks, but they immediately anticipated it by directly targeting Baek Jae-ho, who was still near them. They have to catch him before Baek Jae-ho does the reporting back. But suddenly, Hyun was near them, just caught Baek Jae-ho with his whip, then threw him backwards to where the findings were. Then catch up with him using teleportation. When he arrived at Seo's place, he asks, how old man are you already feel the sensation after so long? Although annoyed, many replied that he was attacked. They all stared at the players separated from the east who had nothing. He said, okay, with this we have defeated the tanks. Now only 303, right? Let's beat 1 person each. The spectators outside couldn't stop screaming. It was amazing how great a combo game had just happened. On the Hope team pretending to set up player Shim, who is the main long-range attacker in his group, but instead kills 2 other players. The way they finished was also an outstanding highlight. He perfectly controlled the speed and range of his attacks to attack opposing players who were aiming for head coach Bae as expected by a technician capable of setting up ordinary superpowers like Trow reaching his limit. And right now all throw back Baek Jae-ho. All plus Hyun managed to kill the other 2 team members. All that was left was Shim, who was shocked to see his teammates being killed so easily. He said this is nonsense. Everyone around him who said why can't it make sense? All immediately hit the boy with their shields while saying, or is it over? That way the first group of the love team, which consisted of 5 people, was successfully leveled, managed to get 3 kills, soon got 2 kills. On the other hand, the Gameloft group consisting of 6 people who were being surrounded by the main group Hope team. They were surprised to receive a notification that because the other group members had been eliminated. One of the purple-haired Timur figures said, it was impossible for the 5 of them to be defeated that quickly. Ah, shit, everyone attack. If we win here, we can be hanged again. Rise up, we are the national representative. The purple hair shot straight to the front. He targeted player Choi. Player Choi recalled all the previous explanations and immediately put them into action. When he managed to block the attack, he saw an opening and immediately counterattacked. The purple-haired player was immediately sent flying backwards. He thinks, what the hell is this dense? Even though he just became a tank at the last minute before the match started, but his defense was very solid. The purple-haired player said, damn you, you're just a fake tank. He again attacked player Choi. However, because player Choi thought too much, he instead carelessly tripped on a rock and fell. A few seconds before the purple-haired player's attack hits player Choi, suddenly a notification accompanied by a spear appeared. Seo Moon-yeob got 3 kills in all and the group is there. He said good job. After the first set ended with a win of 80, the MVP of the first set was a good player getting a flood of praise from players on his team. According to them, the match was very extraordinary. Baek Jae-ho's appearance was so cool. Earlier, they even asked him to just become a player instead of being a coach. If Baek Jae-ho becomes a player, they assume that at least many are in the top 3 rankings. Baek Jae-ho is also grateful for all the praise. Baek Jae-ho felt that even though it was quite embarrassing, it felt like he was getting into the current battle video. but it feels really good to be able to hold a weapon again after 17 years. Baek Jae-ho, who glanced at everyone who was sitting staring at his smartphone screen. Baek Jae-ho thought that all of this could happen because he could play with everyone. On the other hand, Seo Munyob seems to be watching his favorite soap opera. A few moments after that, the second set would start soon, and the feel of where they were going to play had been decided. Up, down, left, right, and every other direction filled with connected stairways and spaces, and this was a difficult dungeon, which as soon as the player leaves the line play or the gravity ladder will increase 10 times. A dungeon named Al Labyrinth Object. Before Seo Munyob carried out that dungeon-gone raid in the past, many superhumans had lost their lives in that place. It seems that the players of both teams are ready to return. When they were walking towards the arena, Shim looked at everyone with annoyance. On the path of SEO, thinking, I just keep dealing with idiots. After returning from the dungeon finals, the wars who always wanted to pit me against Walker, people who worship me as a god, and a bath like the boys Shim. That much they want my ability, huh? Okay, fine, I'll show you, but it will be much more terrible than what you can imagine. Seo smiled as he entered the game, and the second moment came. It began to appear that Team Hope was gathering at the starting point. When Baek was about to explain again about the men and the strategy they would use in the second set, but all of a sudden cut off his explanation. I'm going alone, so you two take care of yourselves. Baek Jae-ho was shocked by that. He asked if Samuel still remembered about the internal structure of the labyrinth. Since the time he did the raid in it, obviously it's only been a year since I did that. I have also made a map of this place. Is the structure different in Battlefield? Baek Jae-ho thought. A year ago, huh? Baek Jae-ho, all of this is only a year old. He also said that there was no change in him because no one knows the team better than SEO. He will trust her to go alone. But Baek Jae-ho advised not to push himself too much. But SEO looks very confident. He thought he was worrying too much about himself. Just be prepared for surprises later, as long as you take it seriously. This time, Seo Munyob smiled while thinking that Lock Team started opposite business. It was obvious which way they would go. After thinking about that, Seo immediately moved apart from them, whose speed was extraordinary. Seeing Seo acting alone, Hai Yuan looked slightly worried. But it calmed him down a lot. Seo might look like an unemployed person whose job is just watching every day, but no one could match him in terms of decision-making skills in battle. Even though he said not to worry, but actually inside he was more worried than anyone. Seo, who was descending at high speed, even though he encountered monsters, he looked happy, and instead welcomed the monsters like old friends who had just met and asked to be slaughtered. He easily looked at all the monsters and immediately went down the dungeon. Maze of the Dead. It's been a year. But if you count the real world, time 18 years have passed since then. Seo Munyob achieved that 10 times gravity anywhere, other than floors and stairs. If players are not familiar with the layout of this maze, players will easily fall and die. But if the player can make good use of it, the player will be able to get extraordinary shortcuts. By taking advantage of this, all of them managed to find a wall. The Love Team who saw the sudden appearance of all of them seemed to have confirmed this. It wasn't even 10 minutes since the second set had started, and their team had been tackled by the Warner. To all of them, he already knew their level during the first game. So let's just say that they were dead by now, you useless humans. Hearing this, the captain of the Love Team tried to calm his members and told his team to back off first. The Love Team thought how could everyone come there alone, so they had to retreat and reshape their defensive lines. It seems that Team Love really misunderstood the presence of SEO there. But according to Seo Munyob, the order from the captain to withdraw was not bad, because if they instead advanced, the match would end here. To their credit, SEO will play with them longer. While the happy ones ran to retreat. He looks like he's looking for the lowest person. After finding his prey, Seo Munyob immediately threw his spear with his flagship skill. All spears quickly and accurately killed the prey he was after. That person would not be able to dodge his spear. With a maximum start of his exterior, which is only half of the deterity substance belonging to Baek Jae-ho. It's a shame because everyone can't take back the spears he has thrown. But Seo thinks the remaining 3 spears must be enough, because the Love Team is no longer there. All proceeded to where he had planned. On the other hand, the Love Team lost one of its members after escaping from Seo Munyob, not far from there. They also stopped at an area and held an emergency meeting there. Even though the Love Team captain had expected the same as using data, he didn't expect it to be the same as reducing it so quickly. Unfortunately, they met with Seo Munyob. When they were off guard, one of Love's team members explained, but saw that the rest of his team didn't show up until the end. It seemed that all really went alone. Wouldn't it be better if they became it directly? But the Love Team captain reasoned, even though it could be true, but they still can't confirm it. If there really were a few people hiding, they would receive too much damage for them to recover. Because it's like this. They should always increase their guard now, because Seo might just ambush them again. Seo Yang was standing at the edge of an area while looking down at the area. Seo thought, all right, this place seems to be doing pretty well based on their movement speed and the time that had passed since their escape. Where they would regroup to rearrange formation, they should be somewhere around there. Seo smiled. Although the chance is 50-50, but there is nothing to lose if they are not there. Seo prepared with his spear, that he gave off an aura to envelop the spear. After that, he threw his spear down with Siltraw while shouting. Seo Munyob's spear formed a wall underneath, but thanks to the impact, Seo's spear sped towards the east, which was discussing. The team that was discussing it didn't seem to notice the arrival of the spear and ended up losing one of its members because it was hit by the spear. Not only the Love Team were shocked by the attack, but the spectators outside were also wondering what was going on there. They had just witnessed an unexpected event, though they didn't know exactly what had just happened. But they can conclude that they are in the process of witnessing us as the greatest in Korean history. It turns out that Seo Munyob's guess was right. He won the chance 50 of 50 earlier. That way, all have got 2 kills in this second set. Shim, who looks very annoyed, his trust is overflowing. He reforms all backwards. Let's fight back against him. 2 people are dead. But the Love Team captain did not agree with the proposal. We are short of people, so sending troops will only reduce our strength. Though Shim looks like an airhead. But this time he complied with the captain of his team, even though he protested a bit but not too much. When they were thinking about their strategy, Seo, who already knew that they were under him because of the attack, just now approached them. Shim seems to be aware of Seo Munyob's presence there, but he continues to act like he doesn't know anything. He pretends to be irritated because of the rightness of his team captain. Shim took advantage of that moment to release his aura and released his magic towards Seo Munyob, who was observing them. A huge explosion ensued due to the magic. Because he felt finally beat Seo, Shim laughed. That's what you get for coming into my sight. I know you've been hiding behind me. But his laughter stopped and turned into a forest when he heard Seo's voice from the smoke effect islands that slowly disappeared. They saw the figure of Seo Munyob, who was fine with a mocking smile. Seo said, "What idiot do you not think that I purposely made a sound so you can realize my existence, and you are not good at acting stupid?" After saying that, Seo jumped and ran away from there. Shim seems really surprised by that. Seo can block his superpower that easily. The captain of the Love Team also felt that the attack earlier was already an attack that had the strength of Shim's superpower, and the aura that he had could be compared to the players, who would be seen as big. That's why even his mentality is trash. He can become this dealer of the national team. It wasn't an attack that could be blocked just like that. Seeing the situation there, Team Love's captain decided they couldn't go on like this. Just like Shim said, catch Seo Munyob first. They will split into 2 groups of 6 people, will start Premi, and the rest will chase Seo Munyob. The Love Team captain ordered the 3 people who would chase everyone to go via the western route. Act like you are going to attack the opposing team and block Seo's escape path. In his opinion, even all of them should have a hard time against 3 dealers alone. When the farming group gets enough points, they will join the group to catch all, and the Love Team starts their plan. The pursuit team immediately moved as planned, but it seems their plan will not run smoothly. Their opponent is a veteran hunter, who is a player who knows the location of the Lantern of the Day. At any rate, when the club team's pursuit squad was moving, Seo was already watching them while thinking, "Isn't their aim too obvious? With movements like that, you guys are more disappointing than I thought." After that, Seo Munyob jumped forward in front of the Love Team chasing team. But the chase team that contains roles outside of that can react well to SEO or sudden attacks. They became the attack and counterattacked SEO. Even though they were beaten up like that, still Seo, who had more experience flying hours than them. Easily, friends avoided their attacks with their 1 centimeter throw technique. He killed all at once. That way, Seo Munyob has got 5 kills. There are 6 more people who are still alive from the love team. Seo Munyob thought he would wipe them out in one go. On the other hand, the spectators outside looked shocked to see Seo's action. It still hasn't been a minute. After he appeared to stop the teaching squad of the love team, but he had already slaughtered the 3 people who were national representatives. The audience began to question whether all really superheroes. The Minister of State, the question that is on many people's minds, is what would happen if heroes from history fought against the battlefield lessons of the current generation. But just like during the duel with the player Walker, they felt they could confirm it again. Today, all the expressions of the spectators outside showed the same thing, whether it was overseas battlefield pro players and even the youngest hero, Miss Zuran. What a shock. Miss Saran couldn't take her eyes off Seo. In her mind she said, "He really is back." Seo Munyob, who was receiving a call from Baek Jae-ho, asked what was happening to him to get 5 kills. Instead of telling him the truth, Seo just told him that he already had aura. Hearing this, he was surprised because everyone already got it and asked him to gather first. Baek Jae-ho asked where he is now. Seo also told the point of its location at that time. But suddenly Seo Munyob realized something. Seo Munyob told Jae-ho that the match would be over before they got there, and also don't contact him now because he's leaving, after saying that Seo Munyob immediately jumped in front of the remaining love team. With a serious face, Seo Munyob said, "Have you been waiting? I'm coming back as soon as I can." Realizing this, the captain of the love team immediately ordered his members not to panic and make formations according to his directions. Its members began to form formations. At first, Seo Munyob watched their movements closely. He realized they were planning to attack him from all sides, but even if they attacked while surrounding him, Seo Munyob could guess that the people who would attack him were usually the ones with the best moves by looking for players there with the highest speed. As expected, the player with the best movement immediately attacked him, but can withstand his attacks well. Yobi players who attack him have pretty good superpower. Even for a short time, the speed of each can increase beyond the maximum human limit, with superpower instant acceleration that consumes aura continuously for 30 seconds, able to move the fastest among all superhumans. But there is one basic thing that makes a player in the National League, that is, just because his body can move fast doesn't mean his brain can function fast too. Seo Munyob continued to defend behind his shield when his students also objects continued to attack him. When a gap opened, Seo Munyob attacked him with his spear. But when the player can avoid it, the spear attack is clearly a trick, and the real attack is the shield coming from below. The attack immediately killed the player. He ordered Shim to attack him with his equation spirit. When Shim Hyung-so attacked him, a big explosion occurred and filled the area with smoke. Feeling that Seo Munyob's vision was closed, the love team captain ordered one of his members named Jim Yuen to enter and attack Seo Munyob. As the screen was running towards it, from the puff of smoke shot a shield towards the player Jin Yun was running. The shield's attack killed him instantly. After the smoke cleared, Seo Munyob, who saw the love team's device who was surprised by the action, immediately took advantage of the situation to do a combo. When he killed them, leaving 2 members of the love team, namely Tem and Shim, Seo smiled at Shim. He said, "Let's see what now. So 2-1, huh?" Shim's body shook violently. He couldn't believe what he saw. Even their national game against France didn't get this crazy. He leaned closer to them while explaining, "Say Woohyun isn't even that bad, but Superpower Mo is a bit lacking. There will be many people with aura over 80 from other countries." When Seo Munyob said that, he instead ignored Seo Munyob and planned a strategy with the symbol of light. He was immediately annoyed and immediately killed him. Now only Shim Young-so is left, who is scared. With a panicked face, he continued to follow behind while telling Seo Munyob to come closer to him. Of course, Seo Munyob replied, even more eager to kill him with one strike from his shield. Shim was blown far back and died immediately. He had made and got 11 kills, an unbelievable situation in the history of Korea. This is the first one-man team wipe. As happened in the first set, unexpected events also occurred during the second. the first one-man team massacre in Korean battlefield history. The reaction from the viewers who watched the live streaming of the match was also crazy. Even though the mainstay of the national team is fine not with them at the moment, Seo Moon-yeob can help all members of the national team alone. He had completely shattered the predictions of the experts who said that he would need time to familiarize himself with the battlefield. When the two teams walked out of the arena, the audience immediately shouted Seo's name excitedly. But Seo Moon-yeob's attention was diverted by a flying object that had been following him. While pointing at his object, he asked Baek Jae-ho, "Hey Baek Jae-ho, what is that?" Baek Jae-ho explained, That's called a drone camera. It's a camera that can record while hovering in the air. The video recorded from the match earlier will be broadcast live." Hearing that explanation, Seo Moon-yeob immediately raised his middle finger to the drone's camera. Seeing Seo Moon-yeob's behavior, Baek Jae-ho immediately scolded him. "Sorry about that head, sir. Grow up a bit. Let's go. We're going to the MVP interview." Baek Jae-ho has to drag Seo Moon-yeob, who looks ridiculous. Sometime after that, Baek Jae-ho and Seo Moon-yeob arrived at the interview site. They immediately started the interview, in front of lots of people. Baek Jae-ho and the woman both showed extraordinary performances during the match earlier. "But first we'll ask you, did you think that you would look like that today?" He says, "No. I never thought of it as I came here by force. So, training in a rush and just luck. Luckily my body still remembers past experiences." After Baek answered it, now it's the other reporter's turn to ask Seo Moon-yeob. "Thank you for the answer. Next we will ask player Seo Moon-yeob. You have shown great performance. At the second time, did you intend to massacre the team from the start?" Seo said, "Yes. It's not difficult when I do it. I relaxed a little at first to get used to the battlefield. After that, I started to understand and move more actively in the second set." Hearing Seo Moon-yeob's answer, Caster Lee Yui asked again, "So that's it. Next question. Do you have any advice for players from the East who suffered heavy defeats at your hands?" Seo Moon-yeob continued his suggestion, thinking. When you think about it, there are tons of people whose attributes and positions don't match or don't know how to properly use their superpowers. Then Seo Moon-yeob replied, "To be honest, the head coach who can't even understand the potential of the players properly. No, the overall structure that maintains them seems to be lacking and is a bigger problem." Project was offended by Seo Moon-yeob's words and could only stare at Seo Moon-yeob angrily. The returning caster asked, "Then do you have the desire to lead their own? They're trash, so it's probably not going to be much fun. But of course it might change depending on the situation. We live in a society that we know." Seo Moon-yeob made a kind of code with his hand. He made a circle with his thumb and pointer, which means it depends on the money or not. Time passed. Seo Moon-yeob and Baek Jae-ho, who were in a car. However, Seo Moon-yeob looks a bit surprised because the road he is taking. Open up the direction of the road that can be passed to return home. Also because Kairan is not there, Seo Moon-yeob is increasingly wondering, where will he be taken? Baek Jae-ho explained that they were heading to the place where the after-party was held for the CRV game. Haeyeon had already left when the two of them were doing their interview. But Seo Moon-yeob even looked surprised. "Do I want to watch soap operas today?" Baek Jae-ho emphasized, that already solved it. "Are you still watching it again for today? Stop complaining. And also, why are you saying things like that? And in the interview earlier, you would usually say that you would want to do it. You say the city has an interest in battlefield." Seo Moon-yeob reasoned, "Yes, but if it's just teaching, I think it's still possible, right? I still have no intention of playing as a player. Slaughtering sheep is only fun for 1 or 2 times. But Baek Jae-ho, how do you train them until he's like that? Just being the head coach is no longer suitable?" Baek Jae-ho answered, "He also did it because he had to. Baek Jae-ho thought I thought that if I've been beside Seo Moon-yeob for 11 years, becoming a coach would be difficult, but the longer I became a coach, the more I realized how great Seo Moon-yeob was. Still, I think it won't be a problem because I've learned from his words. As long as I'm by his side, even they are one of the members of Chiffon Heroes was inspired by Lemon and became a great trainer." Seo Moon-yeob continued, "I have understood after today's fight that we don't have a teacher in this country who can teach techniques well. I'm willing to do it if you want to pay dearly. I'm also willing to help out for free. Since you're the head trainer, I'll give you some tips in addition. So, try to implement it first place Choi Hyuk in the national team and make him a tank. Secondly, use Liobi the last tail. That person can't even control his own speed. Thirdly, don't put Hyun at the forefront. Make him a sub-tank with the back. And finally take out the vice president's son of the association. Baek Jae-ho thanked Seo Moon-yob for wanting to do that. But he was not surprised when he had to take Yong-soo out. Seo Moon-yob asked why would he be afraid of Mr. Jintae's deputy. Baek Jae-ho reasoned, why should I be afraid of him? Even though I look like this, I'm still the Baek Jae-ho of 7 heroes. Based on the specs, I can't just kick a user out. His superpower firepower is very strong, and he also has the highest aura in the team. But according to Seo Moon-yob, mentally it was pointless to hold on to him like in the previous incident. The love team's defeat was caused by that boy, but Baek Jae-ho regretted his superpower, which was too good if he was expelled. Seo Moon-yob is also elbowed out. Baek Jae-ho has to get him out until he gets better mentally. Finally, Baek Jae-ho concluded. So I had to remove him to include Choi Hyuk. Before justifying it, it's true that you will surely be able to get the result. You know that I'm never wrong, right? That's the end of my free service. Tell the old man president that if he wants to hire me, he has to prepare enough salary. Time passed. The two of them had arrived at the Hunter's Hotel where the after-party was held. When Seo Moon-yob and Jae-ho entered the room, Hyeon immediately greeted them. Uncle, you finally arrived. There's a lot of good alcohol in here. Immediately responded. Oh, looks like you know how to drink. Hyeon, you are growing well, huh? He was excited. Reasoned because it's my favorite drink. I will also study now. Other drinks in the class are just fruit juice. Baek Jae-ho, who saw his own daughter inviting his uncle to drink, could only separate from the two of them. He thought he would talk to the president in a moment. He shouted, "Okay, the bullies are gone. Let's drink until morning, Hyeon." The people who were there immediately noticed Seo Moon-yob's presence. They all thought because Seo Moon-yob was already there. This is a great opportunity to talk to him. Looking a bit nervous started pouring out of his body. He realized that there are many engines from all over the world aiming the same as Seo Moon-yob. His assistant stops him. Will get annoyed if you suddenly approach him with a contract. He also seemed to understand the words of his assistant. That party maybe then I will approach him slowly, and Yaman suddenly someone passes Green Palmen. That person immediately calls Seo Moon-yob. Excuse me, sir. Seo Moon-yob, who was with Hyeon, immediately turned around. It turned out that the person who called him was Jack Queen, a European superhuman engine battle build, but he immediately greeted him for a long time. Also, my family name is not Seo, but Seo Moon, who was passed by Jacqueline, could only see them just chatting casually. He thought I shouldn't be disappointed just because I couldn't be the first. Seo Moon-yob was really different from ordinary players. If I'm going to be able to understand his 17 deep years of research, you might not be able to move his heart at all. After chatting a bit by giving his business card to Seo Moon-yob, while saying if you're starting to want to make a move, call me okay. After Seo Moon-yob received his card, he clan left him. Only those behind him went straight to Seo Moon-yob. Wow, Uncle, why is English so good? I heard that Uncle stopped going to school when he was in junior high school and tried to enter the dungeon since he was 13 years old. He says, why I go to school? I can just like that because I often travel around the world, and when I meet Welkers, I also speak English. Hearing Seo Moon-yob's answer, the thing that slightly raised his tone. Hey, really? Then why does it have to be like I kiss in Korean? At that time, by the way, you are a traitor, Uncle. I thought you were stupid as well as me. Seo Moon-yob laughed at that. Is your head made of stone? The other side is watching Seo Moon-yob when thinking that because the jackal has gone, now is the time for him to move on. Suddenly there were two people who passed him from his right. The two people immediately approached Seo Moon-yob. Greetings, Mr. Seo Moon-yob. You can speak English, right? After seeing who people were talking to him, Seo Moon-yob also said I can also speak French. You guys are the Mall brothers, profiting from the war in France, right? When the Simula brothers were flattering Seo Moon-yob, their uncles were both no longer gun companions but owners of a club. They were the best team in the world they had, one of their top 3D. Seo Moon-yob thought, the person who used to be good Jae-ho in his prime, huh? Then Seo Moon-yob asked Muru brother, because you are the owner of the club. Are you here because you want to contract me? Simultaneously, they both answered. Not when Seo Moon-yob was surprised because the answer they both explained we knew that you would do something unwanted. We are indeed willing to welcome you with open arms if you choose to work with us. But we are also attracted to this beautiful person. They both pointed Haiyan beside Seo Munyo, when Haiyan doesn't understand why. They continued while telling him that it looked like they both wanted Haiyan. Wow, that's an honor. Thank you, Mercy. But it annoyed Seo Munyob instead. The two brothers who saw Haiyan watched the child for a long time. Then Simone asked, "So you're not just trying to impress me, are you?" Two brothers confirmed it. "Of course, we will not lie in front of the effort itself. Previously you noted that you were interested in signing him because his ability to kill opponents was still lacking, ensuring that we didn't need substandard sugar from our team. However, after he shifted his position to melee recently, we feel like the last thing missing from this puzzle, it's finally been matched. If he can improve his swordsmanship, as well as his physical strength, he will have a chance to play in our team. Of course, if Mr. Seo Munyob is also willing to join, then it will create a great synergy. You, Mr. Seo Munyob, Nathan, and that's how they explain about Haiyan." Seo Munyob felt that their assessment was quite accurate. Then he said that you will think about it later. If I've thought about becoming a player. Hearing Seo Munyob's answer, the Moro brothers were even more excited. We'll prepare a contract wrap to prepare for that. This is why we make money. Seo Munyob added, "So based on what you heard just now, club owner, who makes quite a lot of money, huh?" The Moro brothers continue. "Only if you can show a player capable of attracting attention from other teams, and as longtime fans, we want to give you the ultimate weapon at your disposal. Will you accept it?" Seo Munyob also answered, "Oh, that's okay. I won't refuse it as long as it's free." Hearing that the Mora brothers bowed their bodies, "You can look forward to it. Then we'll excuse ourselves for now. See you next time." After saying that, they both immediately left Seo quickly. But Seo Munyob was starting to feel that it was getting tiring. It would be good if people stopped talking to him. But it seems that Haiyan is curious about what the two brothers were talking about to Seo Munyob. But Seo Munyob instead stepped away. He invites for a drink and talks about it. When Haiyan was going up and sulking, suddenly someone was talking to Seo Munyob. He immediately turned around angrily. He asked, "What now?" The person introduced himself. "I am the presidential secretary of the Blue House, the president of South Korea." "But, do you know about superhuman?" He said the superhuman merit system after the outer underground ends, all superhumans who have contributed will receive a pension from the government. He explained it wasn't bullshit. It had been in the system for 17 years. So we plan to give you a retirement fund that you haven't received in the last 17 years. The nominal amount is 25.68 billion won without tax, if thousands of rupiahs are around 27.1 billion won. Hearing the total number, Seo Munyob was silent for a moment. After saying that, the man left. But think the 2.5 billion combined with the combinations sent by the association and those sent by Walker total how much, huh? While Seo Munyob was thinking about that, someone approached him. He greeted, "Excuse me, Jovialman agent from America." Because Seo Munyob was not closing small talk, he went straight to the point. "I'm also tired, so come back while I'm being nice." Even though he saw Seo Munyob who was like that, Jovi still tried to talk to him. "So that's what I just want to say one thing. This world may still not be a bit foreign. You have saved the world, but the only thing you gain is losing your 17 years. Underground civilization, which is the area of work, you are also gone, but that is a problem that will be solved with time. You will have a new rotation and a place to call home, and a new goal in your life. You will also get used to this peace, so please don't waste your life being lazy. When that day comes, I hope you will remember this. Then I'll excuse you." After giving his business card to Seo Munyob, he left him. Shortly after that, Haiyan immediately approached Seo Munyob and asked, "Wow, your uncle was even targeted by him." But as Seo Munyob was looking at the film sale agreement, asking Haiyan, "He's weird, who is he?" Just explaining he's a famous figure in us. His nickname is Money Demon. He became very big after taking the superhuman seed from Korea. Went to a person. It seems that he is not talking about money and instead talking nonsense that is not clear. Continuing. "Huh, really? Yeah, I heard he was very persistent when he tried to sign my dad back in the day." Seo Munyob glanced back at him, muttering, "Yes, I agree with some of his words anyway." A little later now, the main event of today's party, the donation ceremony, will begin. The donation speech will be given by this man, the one who has donated more than Seo Munyob. The person here is Mr. Seo Munyob. Confused when the lights there shone on him and his name was also mentioned, but he still stepped onto the stage and began to speak. Let's see what you said. I'm the one who donated the most here. What's the amount of my assets? Suddenly, so the audience was there, Mr. Jin shouted, 1,140,000,000,000 won, following your last wish. Coach Beck and myself are already responsible for taking care of it. Then Seo Munyob continued, the Battlefield Association was very kind to inform me from the audience. But still, even I myself didn't know that there would be that many. To be honest, I heard that I will receive 2.5 billion won, which I haven't received in years. But after I heard my wealth is over 1 trillion, it's a little funny to think that I was happy to get 2.5 billion won just now. Should I apply for a refund? The audience who were there laughed at the little joke put out by Seo Munyob, and then Seo Munyob continued. You see, it's been 17 years since Seo Munyob was dominated. I just recently returned from the dungeon finals, but a lot of things had changed. Seo Munyob people say that I have saved the world, complimented me with the sentence how noble the sacrifice is, and others, but really there is no such thing as glory. From that I just like Dunnigan, there are times when I beg that the underground civilization is not destroyed and will always be there for me to face. So I'm noticeably moved when people thank me for equalizing the world. I don't feel proud either, it's just like an exciting thing that's over. But there's one thing that I'm proud of, namely the children of heaven helped by this money, who are certainly now living as adults. This is far more noble compared to eating the world. I dreamed of a world where all children in the future could live a happier life than me, and Seo Munyob full speech ended there. When Seo Munyob was walking down a ladder from his bench, Mr. Jin, who had been waiting for him, immediately spoke to him. Your mouth actually knows how to talk sweetly. Are you trying to cover up that act in you with just 1.7 trillion? Seo Munyob immediately nudged him. Don't get me wrong. I'm originally kind, but I became like this because of my unlucky childhood. Mr. Jinton continues, it's not good to make excuses like that. From what I can see, you are still the type of child with problems. Seo Munyob suddenly cut off his sentence. He asked, what if I stop talking nonsense and just get to the point? That way, Mr. Cumin. Let's talk about this as a senior, or you have to destroy kids from national team like that. Seo Munyob asked back. Then old man is their president to be trash like that. Hearing that question, Pak Jintek patted his forehead. Game story. This is a mistake now. The league is just a playground disturbed by a suman. Seo Munyob replied, and before that too, he immediately scolded him. You poisoned snail. I've tried hard for him to come this far. Whose fault do you think? The government doesn't mark us that much because they treat superhumans like monsters. Even though it's like that, Seo Munyob still looks very santui. Why is the government's action being my fault? Mr. Jinton said you played a big role. You went around picking up Seo Munyob people at the National Assembly and the Blue House. Thanks to you, the superhuman image in every police chief is able to eat like you. Hearing this, Seo Munyob was carried away by emotion. Good. They were the ones who acted, even though his anger was already mounting. Jinte then calmed himself down. I forget this was my real reason for coming to see you. Would you like to help out his team as a skills trainer? I'm not going to ask to become a player like you said earlier. Your salary will suddenly be the same. Cutting the sentence. That seems a bit difficult. I have something new I want to do. Now time has passed after attending the after-party. Now Seo Munyob and Beck are in a car. On the way home, Seo Munyob muttered, all right, it's around 16 billion won. Looks like I can do it. Heard Seo Munyob mutter. Beck Jae-ho asked, what are you talking about? Seo Munyob casually said, I want to be a club owner. Suddenly Baek Jae-ho was surprised by Seo Munyob's words. Explained seeing Baek Jae-ho, that trash has become national treatment. We make me a little disappointed as Koreans if a strong child can develop well right away. Then Baek Jae-ho asked, since when did you get so patriotic, and even the smallest team in the AB First Division League costs over 20 billion won? Hearing this, he continued, oh, that sounds interesting. It looks like I can make a lot of money easily if I buy Solo 3, the second division, and the name comes from there. Suddenly, Baek Jae-ho realized something. He shouted, so it's not patriotism, but how come you just want to make money? Seo Munyob laughed at Baek Jae-ho's screams. Isn't that how it should be? A few moments passed, the two of them had arrived at Baek Jae-ho's house. But when they both got out of the car, they were shocked to see a woman who kept staring at them. Baek Jae-ho, who was quite into it, immediately approached the woman. What did Saran bring here while? Seo Munyob Saran replied. I also have something I want to do, seeing Saran, who continues to stay sharp. Seo Munyob thinks, what is this? I don't know what he is thinking. In the past, I could tell Seo Munyob from his expression. What if he suddenly shoots? Wow, that's bad. I have to check his stats first for now. So Seo Munyob immediately activated his skill Ice of Analysis. But Seo Munyob was shocked again after seeing his status. Seo Munyob's ability was almost stuck above that. It even has a new superpower, namely Identify Location. Seo Munyob thought this boy seemed to be much stronger than before. Seo Munyob stepped his foot. He kept his image calm, then greeted him. How are you? Are you here to kill me, Saran? Said I did think of killing you when I heard that you became immortal. But that's not why I came here today. Heard Saran's answer. Looking somewhat relieved, then he asked again, who said I was willing to die in your hands? Moaning up to hear if you came here just to avenge past obstacles? You're also still alive, thanks to me, so let's just forget about that. Surin continues and already means Baek Jae-ho again. I have forgiven you for being mean to me in the past. Then Seo Munyob asked again. What then, why are you here? I want to check with my own eyes whether you are really back or not. Since I have confirmed it, I will leave after saying that. Sunan left the two of them, but Asuran's behavior surprised Seo Munyob. What the heck from earlier actually, what did he come here for? On the other hand, Suran, who was walking away, looked back at his past when Salmon scolded him. His words were indeed excessive. It made him gloomy. Cold, too. He really had reached his limit. When Gloomy was crying because he was scolded by Seo Munyob, suddenly a loser appeared behind him. He thought he had to quickly develop at that time. However, because he was too tired, the skill wouldn't come out. When Suran suddenly gave up, Seo Munyob saved him. So you can't even kill 100 of these? Suran stared at Seo Munyob's face, which was right in front of him. Then he asked, are you okay? Seo Munyob's words made Suran's heart flutter. His blood flowed quickly and his cheeks turned red. He blushed, settled Seo Munyob. Suran, who smiled blushing, prepared the incident on her way. He thought you really came back, after resting a few days after a tiring day from the afternoon. In the game, Seo Munyob, who is relaxing at home, looks happy with joy as his hands shake when he sees the total balance in his bank account. The money is in now. Which club should I buy? The shirt that accidentally saw Seo Munyob was losing came up to him. Banking? Not before that. How are you really planning to buy a club? Staring at his smartphone screen that was showing Korean players playing Battle with a smile on his face. Seo Munyob confirmed, yes, we'll use this opportunity to develop my hobby while investing a little. Seeing Seo Munyob, who was already chuckling with his wish, he said, if that's what you want, you will be able to do well. But that's because clearing out excess money? Buy it, tell me I'll buy you a League One club. That's the best thing I can do for you. But it seems that Seo Munyob didn't like what he said, which is exciting. I'm actually asking you for money. I already know about GKI 1 in the second Caddy League. But is that more like a destination hearing that? Baek Jae-ho explained that Seoul is a league consisting of 7 people. From one team, the best Jae-ho becomes 2, like a regular league consisting of 11 people. The league system is the same, but the winning team of 7 can move up to more than 2 with some conditions. It's low, so in terms of cost effectiveness, so is better. According to that explanation, Seo Munyob asked, really? But were there many players there who had time to sit on the edge of the sofa? It continues naturally that the regular league has more talented players usually prefer kayaking in 2 compared to the Champions League. After thinking about Seo Munyob's explanation of being happy, Seo Munyob finally made his choice. Oh, then I'll just have 2 clubs since we're talking about it. I'll just buy it now. Seeing Seo Munyob, who has already made his choice, he asks, do you already have a target? Seo Munyob casually answered, Not yet, should I just ask the real president? Shortly after that, Seo Munyob immediately contacted Jintae and immediately told him his plan. After hearing Seo Munyob's plan, Seo Munyob Pak Jinta, who was too happy, suddenly shouted from his phone, "It's good to be the owner of that club. That's a brilliant idea." But Seo Munyob was even annoyed because of his scream. "Hi, old man. My eardrums are about to explode. It feels like talking. Just relax." "So that's why I'm asking, but are there any excess on sale at the moment?" Then Mr. Jinton answered, "There are 3 advantages currently being sold." There was also a club that issued an urgent sale. While taking a file from his desk, he gave out the information. Time passed. After Seo Munyob received information from Mr. Jinton about the club that was being urgently sold, Seo Munyob immediately visited a battle venue. He is competing, and excess of his concern is Hanjong Industries. When Seo Munyob entered the place where the match was already sitting on the stage, the audience looked very excited. They gave up. Kai cheered his proud team on. "Go, Gating Yoid, destroy that trash. Those Bek Jehogur zombies who always refuse to come out." Even though they were always in the last position, in case Seo Munyob felt put down, there were people who would pay attention to him in such a disguise. But of course, that's just Seo Munyob's feelings about him, as Seo Munyob does but see himself as a weirdo. When Seo Munyob was sitting in the audience among the gay lovers, they immediately talked about it. "What's with the bracelet? Why did his face turn out like that? But it would be nice if there was at least one competent person here." After a while of waiting, finally, the players from both teams entered the arena. The players from Club GTA were seen walking by themselves and greeted by shouts at the GP lovers. In contrast to Jung's complaints, the players looked gloomy, and not a single pencil of complaints walked towards the arena. While Trash also said that word kept coming out of Seo Munyob's mouth when he saw a substance player that didn't match his standards. But after some rubbish, finally a friend saw a player who he thought was interesting, a player named Namgung Ji-hoon, and the real No. Before the match started, the screen in the arena started to show the positions of the players showing it. The kids also commented on it, so the skinny one supports him with superpower like Protech was invited. Suitable to be support, but his skill attributes that indicate his weapon techniques and skills, using his body, is 74 out of 95 points. He has great potential to become a pretty great dealer. Choose the unlucky one unless someone sees his potential. He would forever live without knowing his true talent. Okay, the next loss are 87 and 85. He is in reality with the person named Chow Yun from the national team. His superpower is also quite good, although his boarding strength is quite marketable. But his personality is quite big. Alright, you also passed, but apart from the 2 other people earlier, that's dregs. I have to be grateful because at least I got 2. Are they reserve players? Seo Munyob's attention was distracted by several people who were cheering from the sidelines of the arena. But he suddenly couldn't hold back his laughter after seeing one of the reserve students' starts. What the heck is that one superpower jam? Is he really a flea? But I guess it's not so bad if he's an archer, even though archers with that start won't be too threatening. But if lonesomeness can be increased to 100, it seems to be interesting. An hour passed after that. The match ended with the victory of gold in the national team from 2 sets. Hanjong couldn't score even 1, which made Seo Munyob comment. It's even more exciting to develop them, so Seo Munyob has made his choice. He calls Jintae and tells him, "I have made my choice. I will buy Han Xiao." Time passed 2 days later at the Korea building. Seo Munyob was seen attending a handover ceremony for his club in a room. In the organizational building, the owner of the complaint previously shook Seo Munyob's hand while saying how many words, "Then I will hand over his team to you. Those users have suffered a lot because of my incompetence." Seo Munyob firmly answered, "Don't worry, I plan to make them the greatest team." Jung's superiors continued, "I believe in you. You will definitely be able to do it, Mr. Hero Yo. I really wish you all the best." So now Seo Munyob has to become the owner of the Hanjong Industries Club. The news also began to spread in newspapers and mass media covering Battlefield, which was also accompanied by comments from netizens. Love the clicks that keep questioning every move you make. After finishing the event in front of the social building, the Korean-battled Mr. Kuman met Seo Munyob to congratulate him. "Congrats, Moon, with this, when you officially become the owner of the club. That's nothing. Baek Jeho Seo Munyob good luck, or you're congratulating people just because that person bought General. Hearing Seo Munyob's words like that made Jinte immediately approach him. Hey, I congratulate you on being the owner of a club. It's different from streetcars like snacks. So how are you going to operate my team? He says I will just let them do what they have been doing for now. I wanted to find some players first. Jinte also agreed that he thought it would be good to leave the matter to normal people, because Kangpalat Park had already brought his motorbike. Seo Munyob also said, by the way, because this matter is over, I went first to see the new motorbike. Jinte asks, did you just buy it? While riding his sports motorbike, Seo Munyob reasoned that in the future I will be traveling a lot, and it's a bit strange if I have to continue to hitchhike you all the time. I bought it with the money I'd left over from buying the club. After saying goodbye to Mr. Jin, they immediately left him quickly. He spurred his iron horse on the highway. Can motorbikes really enter toll roads in Korea? Of course not. This is special for Seo Munyob. Apart from using a motorbike on the highway, Seo Munyob doesn't even wear a helmet. Of course, the people who were driving there were very surprised when they saw someone driving a motorbike past his car on the toll road. What kind of Baek Jaiho wants to avoid motorbikes on the toll road? But after the motorists saw that Seo Munyob was riding the motorbike, their attitude immediately changed, which was angry. Now they are happy to understand it. It looks like he bought the bike with his compensation money. That's Seo Munyob. He's free to do it. He's also above the law. That way the police would know it was him. Yes, you can do that, Seo Munyob. After a while riding his motorbike, finally Seo Munyob arrived in front of the Hanjong Industries headquarters. But it seems that the headquarters is in accordance with Seo Munyob's inspiration, where the condition of the building looks a bit worrying. Although Seo Munyob looks a little disappointed, he can still think positively at least the building is big. When Seo Munyob was paying attention to its use, suddenly someone approached him from behind, or outsiders were not allowed. But his attitude immediately changed when he saw Seo Munyob, turned around to see him. I didn't expect you to visit this afternoon. Club owner, I heard you just took over this club today. Hearing his self-introduction, Seo Munyob instead thinking differently. His body is pretty good. Is he superhuman eyes of analysis? According to my guess, this can be a pretty great support. If he becomes an active player, when Coach Choi wants to say something, I'll ask first. So how old are you? Confused. Why did Seo ask that? While scratching his head that didn't itch, Coach Choi answered, I'm 43 years old. Born in 1980. But because Coach Choi doesn't want to admit it, Seo continues to emphasize a bit, and his words are true. So I was born in 76, and you were born in 80s, right? Because Seo Munyob had suppressed it so much that Coach Choi especially had to use it. Then before continuing from now on I will call you brother. Choi, you can also call me Hyung. All right, Choi. I want to go around this building, so guide me. It seems that Coach Choi is still reluctant to call Seo Munyob as Hyung. He feels more comfortable calling him the club owner that way. Coach Choi guides Seo Munyob. Facilities at the headquarters range from offices, canteens, gyms, dormitories, and others. That's the cracks of the existing facilities, and the number of files here are 14 people. Seo Munyob said I already knew when I bought it. We really lack players, but fortunately, Seo Munyob, the facilities needed are here. Even though it's already rusting, Coach Choi wants to add that the land is really wide, so Seo Munyob has the most important things available. And the last one is the training center. Coach Choi also shows the room where they keep the modules for practice. While looking, see the condition of the room and the modules, but commented that this one is also big and old. But why are there only 11 modules here? Don't we have 14 players? According to the question, Coach Choi's expression suddenly changed. The price of the module was too expensive, so we could only buy 11 units. Looking at the level of the green plate like that, Seo Munyob thought, why is this person acting like a poor person, even though he has super healing powers, right? Just work in the hospital. Even though I don't really like him, because he has superpower to recover and inspire him, he's not that bad to be a trainer, and because the biggest problem right now lies with the players. Then Seo Munyob said, okay, let's chat with the players. Of course, the coach was surprised by Seo Munyob's sudden request. What is this all of a sudden? Seo Munyob continued. Yes, I want to meet them right now, so call the people I ordered. Although Coach Choi was surprised by that, he still carried out his orders and called several of his club's players to meet in turn in the lounge. Sometime after that, after one of the students met Seo Munyob in the lounge, Seo Munyob explained that he had heard the news, right? Your new club owner. Hearing that, the player who was standing in front of him, Seo Munyob, immediately corrected himself. My name is Lina Yoon. It is an honor to meet you, Mr. Club Owner. While observing his physical condition, Seo Munyob thought his body was small. He really looked like a flea. Then he asked, looks like you're practicing using a bow today, huh? Suddenly, the same question made Lina surprised. Wow, how could you know? Continuing, I'm Seo Munyob. I can tell something like that just from the calluses on your fingers. You must be worrying a lot, huh, because your skills won't improve no matter how hard you try? But think impressive backstory and speedy, but strange that keeps him from being a great millennial because your skills are lacking too. What Seo Munyob said, he looked desperate. Seo Munyob said, no problem, I'll make you appear in the owl lineup. Not only surprised because Seo Munyob said that he could come up with that concept too, increasingly making Lina confused, apart from the initial up concept. What was that loudly saying from now on? You will become a thief who steals the mentality of the opposing team. When Leah was beset with confusion, Seo Munyob asked again, you can't improve no matter how hard you practice, right? It's time to hear a question like that himself. In fact, he gets even more nervous if the one who admits it, isn't he going to be fired later, right? Seeing Lina, who was sweating more and more, Seo Munyob immediately calmed her down. Don't worry, you won't be fired, right? Hearing Seo Munyob's words alluding to his talent, suddenly Lina asked, maybe my talent is archery. But Seo Munyob scolded him because of that question. Are you stupid? What kind of player can't use a bow? Hearing Seo Munyob's words like that, Lina couldn't hold back her tears. Her innocence became Seo's material to bully her. Then Seo Munyob continued, your talent is not something like that. Your talent is running. If you only focus on running and combine it with the superpower clock that you have. What do you think will happen if you manage to tell the enemy by shooting your bow will be able to steal a kill? Monsters that even your enemy team has a hard time grabbing, and if they get angry they chase you, if you can just rely on your speed and run away from there. After hearing Seo Munyob's explanation, Seo Munyob Lina asked, Ran, what do you mean? I will act as controller. Seo Munyob also confirmed that it was true, but you have to only focus on controlling the field, because if it interferes with their hunting, then they won't just let you go, but even if they try to catch you, you won't get caught because of your speed. In short play, this game, it's always like that. I'll tell you about the training later, so if you just need to run like your life depended on it. New heroes will join the real match after speed up to a certain point due to Lina's naive nature. Without hesitation, she asked Seo Munyob, if I do it I will really be able to become a core player. Seo said for sure. If your performance is good, you can even get into the national team. Hearing that, he looks happy. He was excited like a little boy who kept asking the same thing to his parents. Is it really, this is true, right? While smiling, Seo also convinced him that it was true. Lina's mind was now filled with the possibility that she could become a national team player. Because of that, she jumped up and down and thanked Seo Munyob. Thank you very much, I will do my best. Seo Munyob told him to go and called Jian to face him. After a while, after Lina's departure, someone knocked on her room door. When Seo Munyob told her to come in, Jihoon immediately introduced himself. It's an honor to meet you. I held Jihoon in the support position. Seo Munyob looked back at the condition of his PC while thinking. This is the first time I've seen an emaciated person among superhumans. This team really had some weird players, but one that felt weird was because he was just observing himself. He also tried to open the conversation. I heard you called me to talk about something, but why? Before he finished his sentence, Seo Munyob immediately cut him off. You are no longer supported, of course. Seo Munyob's words made me flinch. What but I support? Seo Munyob emphasized. I said you're not support. But it seems that Saving is the type of person who cannot understand if he is only told 1 or 2 times, casually denying Seo Munyob's words. But I'm a support, is there something? Seo Munyob cut his sentence again. Not only that he couldn't hold back the itching anymore. Hey, you're not a support anymore, I told you, isn't it? Even though he had heard the pearls of wisdom from Seo Munyob, he could still think calmly. Why did he suddenly follow and then say, That I'm not support anymore. What's this guy? After being silent for a while, a friend said, from what I saw, if it is more suitable as a mile. You have marks on the bar of the sword. I'm not saying this perfunctorily. But again, surprised by Seo Munyob's words, have you seen wings and matches? Hearing this actually before the source looked the other way, Seo Munyob answered him, do you think I'll be able to take over a team without being able to see things like that? But immediately denied it, but my dextrate and reaction speed were very low. Friends say it's because you are too dependent on your superpower. Before Seo Munyob said, he had again denied it. Support isn't that bad either. It makes Seo Munyob's tongue itch again to get his pearls out. Stop going against my word, or if you know more than me, because he felt the incredible discrimination from his words. But even that could only answer no, the source of the joy that began to be filled with sweat. But saying I really hate support 9 out of 10 support doesn't fight and just stays behind, which means that in the end the partners fight until they are burdened by one person. But 1 out of 10 that person can be a support properly, because they have at least 2 superpower supports. Even if they just stay behind, they can do their job quite well. But if you only have a protect, that's why I will give you a weapon. But suddenly concluded, so you mean you will make me a support that can use a sword, right? Hearing him continue to fight with his position as support annoyed Seo Munyob. Why do you really want to be support? Or maybe you're afraid to fight in front because you already apologized? You can't be successful if you have that mindset. If you want to be successful, listen to me. Then he asked. If I did what exactly he succeeded. Seo Munyob also confirmed this. True though, that could change depending on how hard you try. It seems he still does. Then he asked again. So what if I still want to be a support? Seo Munyob firmly replied. Do you still need to ask if you'll fire me right away? So what are you going to do? Are you going to live like a loser as a reserve student for the worst team in the league, or do you want to change your life? He paused, then actually shook Seo Munyob's hand firmly, but replied, I will become a melee dealer.